Hey, we got a lot of big guests tonight, and we're going to talk about something that we touched on today, and that is, of course, something we also touched on last night, but I want to touch on it again, and that is the gas station heroin that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and others are warning about, 7-OH. 7-OH. We also have another article over here. Recovering alcoholic sues wellness drink firm for getting him hooked on 10 of its feel-free kava drinks a day that left him hospitalized because they contain addictive morphine-like substance, kratom. Apparently these drinks, these feel-good drinks, they are so addictive that, well, here's a picture of one article. A weird drink from gas stations is reportedly causing terrible addictions. Quote, I don't need a drug dealer. I just go into the store and buy them, end quote. Apparently people are hanging out at gas stations, accosting people, wanting money, trying to get some cash to go get it inside and buy the drink or this, what they're calling gas station heroin. We touched on it last night. We've got a lot of new information tonight for you on this, but also something brand new, and that is from Dr. Peter Breggin, the world-renowned psychiatrist, often known as the conscience of the psychiatry practice. He's going to warn about those drugs. I'm talking about the gas station things and the kratom and whatnot. But here, how about this? Do you guys know of people pushing methylene blue? I think some folks in the MAGA world, America First world, the conservative talk TV world, radio world are pushing it, right? I've seen them. Wasn't there something we saw being, a video out of RFK Jr. himself putting something in some water on a plane? Was that methylene blue? I don't know. I'm going to ask Dr. Peter Breggin about it. What is that? What is methylene blue? Emergency notification. Methylene blue is highly neurotoxic to your brain and mind. Let's talk about all that tonight with Dr. Peter Breggin. Let's talk with Patrick Wood. He alerted me today, Russians should be ready for more internet blackouts and switch to cash, says the lawmaker. Apparently, the CIA is so at war right now, and the average American doesn't know this. Your government, our CIA, is so at war with Russia that we are hacking on them like crazy, including their banking, power grid, and using some kind of drones that tied to the cell towers that are causing Russia to shut down cell towers. This is what was sent to me today by Patrick Wood. We'll get into that. Let's see, what else do we got, Logan? Who else do we have tonight? Patrick Wood, Logan. We have Dr. Lana. I want to have Dr. Lana on to talk about several issues as well that are health related, including some gut issues. Why do guys struggle with that, beer belly? Is it beer? Is it alcohol? Or is it something more? Inflammation, gut health. I also want to ask her about these gas station heroin. This stuff looks like candy. If she's aware of this, is she hearing about any of this in her practice? Dr. Bashima Williams. Hulk Hogan died last week to the surprise of many. I think 71, heart attack. Here's the question. What are the signs of a heart attack? In other words, are there things that could be going on for days or weeks in advance that tell you, you better go get checked out? And then people ignore them and have heart attacks and die, some of them. They don't make it, but they had plenty of warning. Here's another thing. What about those who don't have any warning? What should you be doing? If you have, no warning, then it's not as convenient, obviously, as those who are getting a warning. So what can you do to see if you're at risk of a heart attack? Things that your doctor's not going to tell you. Tests that you can have done that most of your doctors don't know anything about. Your general doctor is going to like, what do you need that test for? You don't need that test. They wouldn't even know, to ask about the test. That's hard to believe, but that's what she told me. So we're going to talk to Dr. Bashima Williams about some of that tonight. I feel like I'm leaving something out. Anything else, Logan? Patrick, Dr. Lana, Dr. Bashima, Breggin. That's it? All right. That's a big lineup, actually. All right, let's go here. Remember, tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, Truth Social. Tell everybody we are on. Covering things you're not going to hear elsewhere. I promise you that. That's one of the common things Melissa says, who does donor relations and customer support. People say, I learned things from Brandon's program and network I don't hear anywhere else. Well, wonderful. We're doing our job then. Well, you know I take Bella Grace each and every day. I take it each and every day. Bella Grace, loaded with 3 powerful ingredients, 80 clinical trials behind it. The water, I drink great water. Dolly gets great water. I take the Gatatana. That's the phytoplankton. It's so good for feeding your cells at the mitochondria level. Don't forget about our fall conference coming up. Get your own medical wellness kit. So if your critical meds on hand. Hey, we're talking about cyber attacks and cyber wars. When power grid goes down, you get sick. Are you going to get your meds? Probably not. But if you have your own urgent care closet, you just walk down the hall and get what you need if someone needs an antibiotic in a crisis. Okay? We have all kinds of things. Worldview Talk. Oh, yeah. Make sure you have your satellite phone like I have right here. I have a satellite phone. I travel with it everywhere I go. I go anywhere, go out of town. I take my satellite phone with me. The satellite phone is free from worldviewtalk.com. When you sign up for one of their very reasonable monthly plans, you can get a Starlink for free, a portable Starlink to take in your RV, if you have a cabin you go to, whatever it might be, and you want to have internet but don't want to pay for full-time internet somewhere, you can even get a portable Starlink for free if you sign up for one of their very reasonable plans. The solar generator, I have one of theirs. I have the Delta Echo 400. You might want to use the number to ask some of the questions because these are big items that you want to get the right one, the right thing. You can call their number, which I think off the top of my head is 1-866-738-3224. I hope I got that right. 1-866, because no one's putting up the lower third. 1-866-738-3224. Look at that. Ask and it shall be done. 1-866-738-3224. That's the number. Good boy, Logan. That's the number there, folks. Check it all out. What else do we got? Numi Swish. I've been swishing with this about 3 or 4 times a day now, trying to really boost my immune system, get back into good health. I've been struggling with whatever I caught earlier in the year, and I just don't feel like I'm at 100% yet. I'm trying to get there. So I've been swishing a lot with this glutathione, the Numi Swish. The detoxes your cells, and some studies show may remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and more. It's all there. WorldviewTube.com/sponsors, WorldviewTube.com/sponsors. And don't forget about our vault. You can join for a very reasonable fee, as little as $7.99 a month, and you will have access to 35 years of my radio shows, TV shows, ebooks, audiobooks, documentaries, transcripts, articles, and more. WorldviewTube.com/vault. Joining me now is Dr. Peter Breggin. Dr. Breggin has been a guest of mine for many years now, as you guys know that. Long time I've been interviewing Dr. Breggin. Well, we're back. We got a big warning. Alert, alert, alert. I'm telling you, folks, we talked about it the other day, yesterday. The gas station heroin. Well, you got another one to add to it. We're going to talk about that with Dr. Peter Breggin, psychiatrist. He's known as the conscience of psychiatry. Many New York Times bestsellers. He's been involved, by the way, in many of the school shooting cases and evaluating and being an expert witness what these psychotropics do to young people. And many school shooters have been on these psychotropics. Now, we're not only going to get into this gas station heroin that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is warning about, but I just learned something new today. That's not uncommon here. That's one thing I love about my occupation, is I learned so much. Did you know that on May 18th, this was put out by Dr. Breggin and Ginger Breggin, emergency notification, methylene blue is highly neurotoxic to your brain and mind. Wait a minute. Is that the same stuff? Logan, can you find the video? There's a video that went viral a few months ago of, I think, RFK Jr. on an airplane. Someone was behind him, videoing him dropping something in his drink or something. And it went viral. And all of a sudden, everybody's talking about methylene blue. And I don't know anything about it. I think it's even being promoted as something that's great for your mind and stopping the aging process and all kinds of stuff. But what's it really all about? I don't know. Let's get into a lot of this tonight with Dr. Peter Breggin. Dr. Breggin, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, it's so good to be with you. It's always great to see you, Brandon.
You too. Say hi to Ginger for me.
I will. Listen, this is a subject that is so loaded from so many directions. So let me go to the very top. The global predators, the people running all of our enemy empires, our old empire here run by the neocons that want to suppress Trump and freedom. That's like one empire that's Trump's taken on. Then there's the Western Empire that used to think of it as the New World Order that run out of Europe, and Bill Gates is involved, American in Europe, and that group. And then there's the Chinese who are trying to get all the time. They were poisoning us across the border with opiates all the time. They're out to get us. There's a number of different groups out in the world today that we're writing about on the Substack, and we will be talking about in our new book. They all want to dumb us down. They all, even our own American empire, which is connected to the deep state, they want us dumbed down. They want to have the power. The more they can get us on drugs, the happier they are. That's why no one intervened with fentanyl. We have 100,000 people a year being killed on fentanyl until Donald Trump put his foot down, said, I'll punish you guys if you don't stop sending it through Mexico, and he closed the border. Nobody's talking about it. So I look at it that America represents two huge new things in the world. It starts with the Old Testament, and then Jesus brings it out some more, and it's about freedom and about love. Americans want to be free, our core people. We want to be free, and we want to love. We want to love our families. We want to love our communities. We want to love our nation, which none of these other people want us to love. They don't want us reestablishing this powerful nation that is happening right now with Trump. And then there's God to love. So the destruction of love, empathy, caring, and any lust for freedom, all of it diminishes the minute you take a psychoactive drug on your first dose. Because every single psychoactive drug, in other words, a drug that affects your mind, even if it's intended psychiatrically, whether it's at a rave, whatever it is diminishing the function of your frontal lobes. We don't know how to improve the function of our frontal lobes. God-given, or I think it's a combination of God and evolution, working through evolution, or whether you think it's God's simple creation. We need our frontal lobes functioning. And the moment you disrupt them in any way, these complex things, this is the most complex piece of space behind your eyes, and on your big foreheads that we have as humans. It's the most complicated space in the whole universe. And to drug it is never working out.
Never working out. Well, let's get into that one. Because there's a video. I'm going to get to the gas station heroin, which we've talked about now last night and today on the radio, etc. Oh, and we're going to get to it more later with Dr. Lana. But look at this video here. Now, this was a video I saw several months ago. Is that RFK Jr. putting something in a drink? And if so, do you know what that is? I mean, do we have facts? I don't want to guess. Do we know? Well,
it's methylene blue. And all you have to do is listen to the radio. And if you hear people who say they know RFK saying, some of our biggest people in the freedom movement have been talking on the radio about TV about how they know RFK and he loves methylene blue, and they love methylene blue. And they give examples of how wonderful methylene blue is on the air, and they're clearly going towards psychosis on it. They're talking about things like, I'm sitting in the chair, but I'm not, I'm zooming ahead, or thank God I only took half the dose, and because I'm just my hair standing up.
Are you telling me some of the people promoting it are talking about these kind of reactions that they're having after they take it?
Yes.
Well, why would you keep taking it?
Well, because people are not happy with the work it takes to live.
Huh.
We're looking for
statement.
shortcuts, you know? This is a deep story today, actually. It's much deeper than appears on the surface because it has to do with drugs in general and how bad they are for us.
Well, what is methylene blue? What is it? I've never even heard of it until recently. What is it?
Methylene blue is an extremely old drug that was manufactured, maybe the first ever drug manufactured, or certainly the first drug ever manufactured and used in medicine. It happened to be an antidote for some poisons because it jacked up the mitochondria to be able to move more oxygen, and that helped when the poisons were trying to poison the hemoglobin system in the blood. That led people in our movement to say, that's wonderful, jacking up mitochondria. No, it's not. It's abnormal. It's abnormal to jack up your mitochondria. It just happens to work now because you're counteracting a poison. But also, the thing about methylene blue is it became the mother of all psychiatric drugs. It was so toxic, it was never made into a psych drug. The FDA had tons of years as soon as it was formed, the FDA could have immediately, brought in methylene blue as a psychiatric drug. Nobody ever applied for it because it had all the worst effects of psychiatric drugs.
Well, when people are selling it, I don't have to name names, but aren't there people out there in the conservative, so-called conservative, patriot movement, America First movement, that are selling it? Number one, is that true?
Just about anybody that can sell something widely is selling it.
Okay, and what are they not concerned about the liability?
Well, you'd think after I gave a warning to the whole movement that they would be concerned about the liability. After I gave that warning, they held a meeting at one of them with some of our top doctors in the movement and decided, they didn't talk to me. No, it's no big deal. No, we'll keep selling it. I think it's making a lot of money.
I was about to say it must be making a lot of money, right? Okay.
I think it's making, and that they wouldn't even talk to me after I published this. Nobody.
And you published it May 18th.
Yeah.
So it's been around a while. Okay, so tell me what else do I need to know about this?
Well, the 70H, which is Bobby just held a press conference with the head of the FDA and a senator. And in that, he said he has sent out warnings about this drug, 70H.
Which is also known as, they're calling the gas station heroin.
That's right, because
which is also
it has,
what's it called? Crampton?
Yes.
Cronin?
Cronin.
How do you spell that, Logan? Kratom. Kratom.
Yeah, Kratom.
Yeah, and that's okay. Now, in fact, I got a little statement on that. We got a little video here. We've played this a gazillion times, but I think I have a little thread here on it. Okay, RFK Jr. just called it a sinister industry. He talked about 70H, a synthetic legal opioid sold in vape shops and gas stations across America. It's fueling addiction, destroying lives. Senator Kinney knows that pain firsthand, and what he said next could change everything for addiction in America. Our agencies have been asleep at the wheel for all of these other crises, and now we're going to wake up. We're going to stop this before it starts. And of course, we've played this clip several times by the FDA commissioner and others that are talking about what this is and how dangerous it is. Let me just play one of these clips here. I think this is a new clip. Here we go.
Today, the FDA is announcing that we are initiating action to recommend scheduling of 70H as a controlled substance by the DEA. We are also releasing a report on 70H to educate the public, including the other names it goes by. And finally, we need to educate the public, including the medical community. I've talked to many doctors who don't know what 70H is. We need to be proactive so we don't get caught blindsided again.
All right, so this is being sold in gas stations, vape stores. Gas stations looks like candy we've been talking about.
Right. Well, methylene blue is being sold on Amazon. Methylene blue is everywhere.
And are you saying methylene blue, is this is also got that same 70H in it?
It is not an opiate. It is and neither entirely is OH. Both methylene blue and the OH stimulate all of what are called monoamine oxidases, and that's your stimulating drugs. Everybody's heard of them. Serotonin, it stimulates serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. And they're not addressing that. They're not saying, and by the way, these things are as dangerous as psychiatric drugs. They don't want to say that. They're also doing what all your antidepressants are doing. They're mucking with so many neurotransmitters that there's hardly a psychiatric drug that isn't at least doing one of these, and some do all four. And so the methylene blue was not so much an opiate as kind of every psychiatric drug's origin. And indeed, it was used to make antidepressants, but they never used it as an antidepressant. It was made to use antipsychotic drugs, but they never used it because it's too dangerous, and it's being promoted by, as you said, in our freedom movement, in our health freedom movement. And I've directly appealed to some of these people, and
they don't want to hear it.
They don't want to hear it. I think
Harvard Health Publishing, Harvard Medical School. What to know about methylene blue? Once used to dye cotton and treat malaria, methylene blue is gaining attention for a variety of off-label uses. Learn where it started, how it works, and what the evidence says about its safety and health benefits. Okay.
If you take methylene blue with the wrong food or the wrong drug, you can die from something called serotonin syndrome, overstimulation of serotonin. And of course, serotonin is what famously Prozac jacks up. So so if you, and you, same thing can happen to you with Prozac, but even more with methylene blue. If you eat products with soy, if you eat products that have burnt meat in it, or you eat products that have some beer, you eat beer on tap. It's a list like of 50 products. No doctor can even keep them in his head. And if you take them with any huge number of drugs, all of the stimulants, all of the antidepressants, all of the antipsychotic drugs, you run into the risk of creating something like a serotonin syndrome or something else that gets related to some of the other drugs, which is a malignant syndrome. So we're talking about really dangerous drugs. And I don't think Bobby wants to deal with any of this because it has to do with the whole basis of psychiatric drugging. Methylene blue is like taking the mother of all the psychiatric drugs. Now, it's the same thing is true with 7-OH, except it also has an analgesic. So people are deeply concerned about losing their more available morphine-like substance. Now, I'm going to say something that may seem surprising to you, but I think Bobby'd be better off not just warning people about this, but going to the CDC, the DEA, the Drug Administration, going to the DEA and
Drug
saying
Enforcement
to them,
Agency, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Drug Enforcement Agency, and telling them stop meddling with doctors prescribing opiates and other analgesics and painkillers, hydroxycodone, and so on. Because way before COVID, the DEA was experimenting without any legal empowerment to take over medicine. So it went out and started listing all the things doctors had to change so that we wouldn't be getting all these overdoses. Well, in fact, overdoses on opiates don't start with doctors. They start with street drugs. They just want to go after the docs and put some more heavy and regulations
get
on
the
them.
DEA back on the street where they belong.
Yeah, put them back on the street where they belong is a very nice motto. I mean, I think that's a beautiful motto. And, when I was in medical school, way back, We never dreamed of wondering what the FDA particularly was doing, or what the DEA was doing, or what any federal agency was doing. We presume we were learning from scientific books and papers.
But if the DEA were not concentrating on the doctors, but concentrating on the streets and what's being sold in the gas stations, we wouldn't now have what they're calling gas station heroin if the DEA was really doing their job.
I think that's so. And if Bobby would be open and say, hey, people are talking about my using methylene blue. I've always had these problems. I really shouldn't use it. I'm going to stop using it. Don't you use it. And I suggested all the Freedom folks who are using it realize what you're doing is you're blunting America's impulse for freedom and love, which the empires of the world want to crush.
So you're saying this methylene blue is it in the psychotropic family?
Oh, it is it's the mother of psychotropic drugs.
And look at what it says here. This is from what website is this? This is from
the FDA has issued warnings on methylene blue as causing serotonin syndrome, and the problem is mixing it with almost so many foods and so many different drugs leads it to be extremely dangerous, and that leads up to an overstimulation of serotonin. But you also are overstimulating dopamine, and in some cases it's reported then you get what is a dopamine malignant syndrome, neuroleptic malignant syndrome. I don't want to give you too much stuff.
Right. Here's a website called Get Healthy. They say serious side effects can include allergic reactions, hives, swelling, difficulty breathing, blood pressure changes, heart rhythm abnormalities, breathing difficulty, and in rare cases, seizures. When combined with certain medications, methylene blue can cause a dangerous condition called serotonin syndrome, which you were just talking about. A 2021 review noted that while methylene blue has historically been considered safe, significant gaps exist in toxicological data. And the FDA has issued safety warnings about serious reactions in some patients. Drug interactions, a major concern. The FDA has issued safety warnings about combining methylene blue with antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, some pain medications, certain migraine treatments.
That's a good warning.
Avoid methylene blue or use it only under close medical supervision. Pregnant women. Is that music in my ear? Turn off your guys' mic in there. I can't hear the music. The FDA classifies methylene blue as a pregnancy category X, meaning it should not be used during pregnancy due to evidence of fetal harm. Okay, we're gonna be right back. Don't go away, folks. More on the other side.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Hey, come to Collierville, Tennessee, the Mid-South, and join us for our 22nd annual Worldview National Conference. That's right. We've been holding Worldview Weekend since February of '93, but we've been holding an annual conference every year for 22 years. And this year we've moved it to just outside of Memphis, Tennessee, in beautiful Collierville, Tennessee. And the speakers, well, here they are. Gordon Chang, Alex Newman, Sidney Powell, Dr. Lana, Hedia, Dr. Andy Woods, Chris Martinson, and Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen. The tickets, we brought the prices way down because we moved it away from a very beautiful resort, but it was expensive. And now moving it to the Mid-South at this beautiful, beautiful theater owned by our town of Collierville, we've been able to move the price down to just $99 a ticket. Now we only have seating for 350 people. All the details and to purchase your ticket, worldviewstore.com. You'll find out the hotels and about our Thursday night optional banquet, worldviewstore.com. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us, worldviewtube.com. All right, take a look at this. Dr. Peter Bregg is my guest. Look at this. A weird drink from gas stations is reportedly causing terrible addictions. Quote, I don't need a drug dealer. I just go into the store and buy them, end quote. Some are turning away from alcohol as part of the sober, curious movement, while others are seeking a less harmful alternative to the useful martinis and beers. But in the effort to find a healthier substitute for alcohol, some have turned to another drink that can reportedly send you into a crippling addiction. Enter the Elixir Feel Free, a tonic in cobalt blue bottles that's often sold in gas stations, and which is now the subject of a class action lawsuit, according to Punch. Feel Free is manufactured by Biotanic Tonics, marketed as a natural energy booster, focus enhancer, and mood lifter, but in addition to the mild stimulant kava, it's chock full of an additive substance called kratom, which has a similar effect as opioids. Now, that's exactly what they were warning about in their press conference yesterday, that this kratom is an opioid. It's not like an opioid. It is, according to...
It is an opioid, yes.
Yeah. So this is being
It's hitting
sold.
those neurotransmitters. It's the same neurotransmitters.
Now, it's being sold along with these other things that look like candy, the gas station heroin. This is apparently being sold at gas stations around the country. We're getting reports that from even some of our viewers and reports of their sitting of other people reporting about people accosting folks at gas stations for money because they're addicts and they get this stuff at the gas station. So they show up to get it. They don't have money to get it, and they start accosting adults in the gas station or out at the gas pump for money so they can have the money to go in and buy this. I wasn't even aware of this product till today. What do you know about this kind of stuff?
Well, I've been trying to give you an outline of it, that there's just a few basic chemicals that we know of that are very commonly used by people to change their brains and change their minds, change their difficulties with life. One of the opioids and the other are the derivatives or similar to the psych drugs. And 7-OH has both the traits of a whole variety of psych drugs, which makes its effects very confusing, and it's an opioid. And methylene blue simply has a real punch from very similar to a number of different psychiatric drugs.
So how did these things end up in the gas stations? I mean, how is it this is being sold? That I don't need a drug dealer, the person said, I just go to the store and buy them. How did this end up in grocery stores or in gas stations? How did this happen?
Well, I think part of the problem is that the agencies are more interested in their own power than in actually trying to find out what and how are people being harmed. Because I think this is a very good example of it, because people are being harmed by, 7-OH when they having pain and they're treating the pain with it. But what they really need is easier access to opioids. Opioids given under normal medical conditions are not causing mass addiction. The facts just don't support that concept. People after surgery, they take opioids for their pain. The doctor says, we'll taper them now, and that's usually it. Or maybe they have lifelong pain. The opioids are not as destructive as a lot of other drugs if you take them at a low, an initial therapeutic dose, and you can take them forever under, just being careful with them. Not like the psych drugs. but they want to treat the opioids like they're some sort of criminal activity related to the medical profession so they can control the criminal doctors who are giving it out too much. That's very rare.
So in other words, take a crisis and exploit it to put all doctors under more and more government control.
Absolutely.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
So you got a few bad doctors out there describing, Dr. Feelgood, whoever it is, prescribing these pills, right, which is a problem, but it's small compared to the good doctors. So, but let's take one small area and exploit that to then put government control over all doctors, because at the end of the day, socialism is about controlling all the power centers, including medicine. Now, we don't want to talk about psychotropics. So let's talk about opioids as a distraction to talking about the psychotropics. Is that what I heard? Is basically that what's going on? Because you said it looks like Robert Kennedy Jr., for all the good things he's doing, doesn't want to talk about the psychotropics. Is a lot of this being used?
He doesn't want to. What they don't want to talk about is the psychiatric drugs, because the pharmaceutical industry is, especially when combined with the mental health industry, is the biggest lobby in the world, probably the most wealthy lobby in the world.
So how can he go up against vaccines? So vaccines, we thought that was a big deal. He goes after vaccines, which I'm thankful for. But are you saying...
He's not going after vaccines the way he should, not even close.
But are you saying, though...
I'm saying he is being strangled, I think, by the pharmaceutical industry. Okay. He is moving very slowly against the, this is very disillusioning to me. You know, Bobby gave me a fabulous endorsement for our book, COVID-19, The Global Predators. We are the prey, and I tried to work with him over the years, and we do have some interests in common and so on. But he is not fulfilling promises very rapidly at all in terms of the federal government. He actually approved, and we did several blogs on this, not blogs, but columns on Substack. Peter and Ginger's Substack. That's the place to go and get these columns. But we did several columns on his failure with the vaccines, and I called for his resignation probably I don't know, a month ago or so, because he actually said he wasn't going to intervene with Moderna's new vaccine. They'd promised they'd do some testing later, but he wasn't going to intervene with it.
Now,
that was his final words.
That's not the decision that was made while he was on vacation by some of his subordinates, was it?
Supposedly. That's a cover story. But
so
that
has he
is
backtracked on that at all?
No, Moderna is empowered now to give that vaccine out, and empowered to do it in ways that make it easy to give it to anybody they want, all children and mothers and pregnant children, because if they have any kind of secondary health problem, then they need the vaccine. But that's the reverse of the truth. If you're already sick with anything, don't take the vaccines for COVID, because they can poison every single organ in your body. There isn't an organ, including your brain and your genitals, that can fight off these spikes. Mm-hmm. So Bobby's allowing that to go on. Plus, they're encouraging the giving of it specifically to the elderly, which is a form, I believe, of euthanasia and depopulation.
I agree.
This is how you do agree. That's amazing and wonderful, because that's so scary. Most people don't want to hear it, but Ginger and I are diving into.
Well, and if you
now.
if you get more control of doctors, and you're saying they're wanting to use the opioids to, crisis to do that. You get more control of doctors. Now you can start regulating the doctors and forcing them into active euthanasia. And that's also one of my concerns.
Deep concern for me. I think that because of the bureaucratic junk that comes down, several times my mother-in-law was nearly killed by doctors in our local hospital, despite my being confrontational with the doctors. I got so confrontational with one of them that I said, if you don't start giving her an IV and hydrating her, you're going to be on television tonight.
Well, you call
And
me.
I was going to call you.
Seriously,
I
you
was
call
going
me,
to call you.
exactly, I'll
I don't
cover
know
those.
anybody else I could trust to
You
do
call me, I'll cover those stories. Now,
But-
if you were to take the vaccine industry and compare it to the psychotropic industry, are they the same size or the same companies, right? Same companies, right? The ones doing the vaccines are the ones doing the psychotropics, right?
Except for Moderna. Now, Pfizer is the other big company here, and Pfizer makes Paxil, which is and a whole bunch of drugs that I wouldn't want to take, Paxlovid. And so...
And I hope everybody remembers,
There-
we're talking to a psychiatrist, okay? He's got New York Times bestsellers. He's known as the conscience of psychiatry. I've interviewed
Yeah.
him for years. Then Michael Savage picked him up. I wish Michael Savage would get you back on because your message needs to go far and wide.
I should put in a plug with me for Michael.
I will.
Tell him I'm much more conservative now. I was on with him for a long
You
time.
were. Absolutely.
I was. And I think maybe then I was still kind of trying to figure out my way more clearly. And tell Michael I'm as
Conservative as he is now.
I'm as far out as he is. tell him I'm as under God as he is now.
Let me ask you, here's a website, Nutrition Detective, talking about methylene blue real quick. I wanted to share this, forgot. Maybe you noticed the coordinated social media psychops recently pushing porta potty dye as a health supplement. Is that what it is? Porta potty dye? Or is he joking because of the color? I don't know. Well, it's not one, and it's not good for you. And I'm here to sound the alarm and save your health from the shysters. I'm going to cover here how methylene blue is a pharma drug through and through, belongs to multiple known toxic classifications, accumulates or builds up in your brain and nerves. The body desperately tries to detox it. Toxin binders grab it. It has no known antidote, causes withdrawal symptoms, real people getting scary low-dose side effects, lacks toxicity research, is part of the infertility psychop, inhibits major detox pathways in the body. I mean, this is one guy putting out there. You would agree with all that?
Who? Yeah, who is that?
That's a guy called Nutrition. I'm going to start following him. Nutrition Detective. That's who that is.
Okay, great.
I'm going to start following him just for the giggles.
Yeah, and the reference to blue is it stains the organs, it stains the brain, it stains your urine.
Well,
So
yeah,
it's
I read
blue.
an article. Your urine and even your stools can change colors, which
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
And
now-
complexion. People have been thinking Bobby's complexion keeps getting darker or bluish.
All right, now let me ask you before we go about this. Technocrat sweep, U.S. health officials, tech executives to launch data sharing plan. This was in my Worldview Report newscast tonight, okay?
Bobby again.
Yes. The top
Bobby
Trump
again.
administration officials are expected, this was yesterday, to bring tech companies to the White House. That happened yesterday. To roll out a plan to encourage more seamless sharing of health data, according to people familiar with the matter, okay? So you got all these tech bros now that are going to be grabbing up our health information. Why would we want to do that? And especially with the
Socialized medicine.
wearables, they're going to
It's
track
Yeah,
everything.
the wearables. Yeah, and the wearables Bobby's suggesting. This is so clearly moving towards socialized medicine.
Thank you.
And
Yep. Thank you. I agree with you.
you know, one of the toughest problems in the world I have right now that we should talk about off camera, but I'll mention it in just a split second, which is, does Donald Trump realize what's going on
I don't think so.
in these other things?
No, I won't divulge too much right now. I will maybe in the future. I was in the room when something was being discussed, and he said something, and I knew about a medical issue and a medical product, and I knew 100% what he was saying was not true, and backed up by many well-known medical doctors that you and I know that are very, very, well-known. And I knew then that someone had convinced President Trump of something that was not true, and he was convinced it was true. Now, look, when you're the president of the United States, you got your hands full, and you got to trust people, and you got to trust people. And this is my concern. I'm not being critical of President Trump in that he was led to believe something that wasn't true, because that can happen to any of us and all of us, right? Particularly the busier you get, and you're putting out fires constantly, you just got to make snap decisions and keep moving. And then you're like, oh man, I wish I would have known that, I would have done that, right? So I'm not being critical of President Trump. What I'm saying is I get where I feel sorry for President Trump, because I don't think President Trump has some of the best advisors around him at times, and they give him misleading information, or they don't give him all the information. And a lot
of it's around the pharmaceutical industry.
Yep.
A lot of it's right around. I interrupted you, but
No, you're fine. I'm just very concerned with President Trump getting the right information.
Yeah.
And
I have a little theory I want to throw in.
Okay.
I think he's also maybe having trouble continually dealing with how evil is everywhere around him.
Absolutely. He's up to his eyeballs in alligators.
And I think it's very hard. I mean, the simple truth, for example, about the vaccines is they've killed, these are just the COVID, millions of Americans.
Yep.
We can document it on charts. I've published stuff. Lots of other people have. Nobody talks about it. Everybody kind of just doesn't want to say it. But Bobby has released what I wrote. Bobby's releasing continuing to release a murderous weapon. And as much as that I have some affinity for him, and that, he's really done me a huge favor with the book endorsement, that I would be a co-conspirator if I didn't say, Bobby Kennedy publicly, stop this. You're murdering people by okaying. But the same is true for Trump. I hope deeply that he's misled and can be corrected, and he's not enacting something he's been told to. I don't know.
All right, I want to take you guys to Ginger and Dr. Bregan's website. Here it is right here. It is very easy to get to. gingerbregan.substack.com, Ginger, Bregan, Breggin, gingerbregan.substack.com. You guys should go subscribe and follow this. Methylene Blue, the gas station heroin.
70H.
70H. I mean, good grief. All right. So Dr. Bregan, we're going to try to keep up with all your great Substacks. So I'm covering, because what you're covering sooner than later. I should have been covering this back in May. So folks, in the meantime, you stay up with gingerbregan.substack.com. And you can also find Dr. Bregan's great books out there on Amazon, written many New York Times bestsellers. Again, a psychiatrist who has been known and called the conscience of psychiatry, and he has testified in many of the school shooting trials, because many of those kids were on psychotropics. I do have to ask you this before we go, though. Is it just because of technology today, cameras today, that we have this awareness of people beating people down in the streets? I mean, we have this horrific story in Arkansas of a teacher who apparently had no criminal record, had passed background checks, an elementary school teacher, reportedly now has been arrested for murdering the parents, these two children. I mean, the parents of the two children. I guess two of the three kids, one wasn't there. The two kids got away. I guess the parents, I don't know, were just, fighting for their life and telling them to run. The two children thankfully got away. I don't know if the guy didn't want to kill the kids. Maybe being a teacher of young children, he wasn't going to go there. I don't know. But they got away, thankfully. But the mom and dad murdered in Arkansas at a park. Now, the violent crimes we're seeing, is this because of reaction to psychotropics? Is this because people are getting on gas station heroin? Is this because people have had COVID and the boosters? And I know that Dr. Thorpe and you and others have done studies showing there's a cognitive problem, that these people start having psychotic problems, cognitive problems. What is this? Again, I want to go back and phrase it correctly. Is this simply because there's more news and everybody's got a camera on their phone, or are we seriously at an apex of psychotic behavior like never before in American or even world history? Closing.
Well, I have no doubt. I have no doubt that we're at an apex from the psych drugs alone, and from COVID, and then from the COVID spike being created by our own bodies. I'm sure that these are contributing to violence and suicide. There's just no question about it, and mayhem of all kinds. And we can directly apply it now to the New York murderer that occurred just a day ago. I forget his name. And he went into a building and he shot and killed 4 people in Manhattan.
Was he on
And
psychotropics?
Oh, yes. The first 2 facts to come out was that he had a mental health history in Nevada, I think, in another state.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing, that he was on psych drugs. And then the police officer sort of forgot themselves and when asked, said that she had found a bottle of psychiatric medication in his car. Then she's asked what, and the police officer says, I can't tell you. And that goes on everywhere now. All the police officers know, don't tie psych drugs to violence. So almost everybody who commits violence that's bizarre, or at least many of them, almost all of them, has been through the psych system. And I think it's not just the psych drugs, because some of them are not certainly on psych drugs at the time, not everybody who does these things. But they've often been through the mental health system. And what does the mental health system teach you? It teaches you your problem is biochemical, that we have drugs to give you, that you're not responsible for yourself. They never bring up God and say, have you tried praying? If you ask God for strength. They don't ask you about the love relationships. Are they firm? Do you have good support in your home? They are just drug dispensers now.
Yeah, money. Money is
money and power.
Money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. And these people love money, and they love power, and they love a drugged out society that can be easily controlled. And this is what Timothy O'Leary, this is what Aldous Huxley, they all talked about, praised, and said was coming. And here we are. Dr. Peter Breggin, gingerbreggin.substack.com, gingerbreggin.substack.com. Dr. Breggin, as always, thank you.
Thank you. God bless us all with what we're dealing with.
Indeed. Wow. Check his books out, folks, and his Substack. We'll be right back after this break. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Hey, come to Collierville, Tennessee, the Mid-South, and join us for our 22nd annual Worldview National Conference. That's right. We've been holding Worldview Weekend since February of '93, but we've been holding an annual conference every year for 22 years. And this year we've moved it to just outside of Memphis, Tennessee, in beautiful Collierville, Tennessee. And the speakers, well, here they are. Gordon Chang, Alex Newman, Sidney Powell, Dr. Lana, Hedia, Dr. Andy Woods, Chris Martenson, and Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen. The tickets, we've brought the prices way down because we moved it away from a very beautiful resort, but it was expensive. And now moving it to the Mid-South at this beautiful, beautiful theater owned by our town of Collierville, we've been able to move the price down to just $99 a ticket. Now we only have seating for 350 people. All the details and to purchase your ticket, worldviewstore.com. You'll find out the hotels and about our Thursday night optional banquet, worldviewstore.com. Joining me now is Patrick Wood. We have an issue here, and that is there may already be a war going on. Well, there is a war going on already, actually, between America and Russia, because I think the CIA has been at war with Russia for quite some time in Ukraine. Who do you think is providing all of this information and targeting and everything? And pretty much Putin's already come out and said that several months ago. Do you really think these guys are doing this on their own? Of course not. The West is helping them. That would be Europe and America. So we're at war with China. I mean, with Russia, folks. We're at war with Russia. We're actually at war with China, too. It's just through propaganda, cyber hacking. We're already at a financial war. So most Americans, if you were to say, hey, did you guys know we're at war with Russia? They would go, no, but we are. Because our stupid CIA is continuing, apparently, to do things through Ukraine, along with NATO, to just keep pushing us toward war. Well, Patrick Wood today notified me about what's going on in Russia. And apparently, the CIA is cyber hacking on Russia like crazy. Now, maybe Russia's hacking on us and we don't know about it. I don't know. But look at this headline. Russians should get ready for more internet blackouts and switch to cash, lawmaker says, the Moscow Times. Joining me now is Patrick Wood. Patrick, welcome to the broadcast again. Thanks for being with us.
Greetings. Yes, this is an interesting story that caught my eye. I listened to a propaganda piece actually from Kiev And I was a little suspicious at first, but I chased the rabbit down the hole, so to speak, right? And I discovered all kinds of things. Russia is under major duress right now. Hacking is one, but also the drones, apparently the drones that Ukraine is sending into Russia are all based on cell signals. So Russia's response has been just to shut down the mobile networks of people.
Now, what do you mean? What do you
words,
mean by the drones are based on cells? What do you mean by that?
Well, somehow the drones they're navigating using cell signals like cell phone, apparently.
So, like using the cell signals for like GPS.
Yes, exactly. So the Russians have figured out, we're going to shut this down because we don't want, be bombed with $80 drones. And so the answer is to shut down all the mobile networks. Well, this is raising havoc with people. You can imagine the people aren't on the ground, aren't too happy. All of a sudden, their smartphones can't send messages, can't use their apps, their banking apps, their maps, their other type of transportation. All that, basically, your phone just stops working. This is crazy. Now, there's an extension of this theory at this point. For some reason, they decided, Russia said, they shut down all internet traffic to mobile devices in Siberia. That's really odd to me because Ukraine isn't attacking anybody or any area of Siberia. So go figure. Something big is happening at this point, and it's disrupting people's lives. And also, some banks are experiencing issues with cash, getting out of ATM, stuff like that. So, all that to say, Russia's not collapsing, but you can see something's going on, and the hacking especially has been really aggravating for them.
So tell me this, how much of our CIA is involved in this?
Well, you have to figure they're involved in everything scurrilous in the world at this point. But they can operate through Ukraine, and Ukraine, by the way, they've always been a hotbed for hackers historically. So they know what they're doing in Ukraine.
Well, we have 10 CIA bases over there. It came out a year ago, 18 months ago, whatever.
Yes, exactly. So they know what they're doing, and they're able to penetrate Russia, not at will, but certainly enough to where that it's just a needle in their groin.
Ouch! Ouch! That's pretty graphic, isn't it, Logan? Is that the goal here? Or I'll change it to we're poking a stick in the eye. Is that what they're doing here? Are they trying to provoke a response from Putin, the globalists, the CIA, the NATO, the Europeans? Are they wanting war and they're going to just keep pushing? Because here's the thing.
Yes.
A lot of what's going on, the average person doesn't know about, right? Mm-hmm. But thanks to programs like this, broadcast partners like you, we're telling people. But the average person, when Putin has finally had enough and he does something, they're going to say, look at what Putin did. Look what Putin did. And people are going to be angry, but they're not going to go, yeah, the guy was being actually restrained. He was showing restraint for years. We've been going after this guy. I'm not even sitting here being a Putin defender, but I am telling you, we are poking a stick in this guy's eye over and over and over. Yeah. We're not just saying, as Dr. Peter Price said years ago, we should have done. Just tell him, we're not going to let Ukraine come into NATO. We're not going to drag weapons up to your border. No, we've done everything we can to exacerbate this, and we're continuing to do so. When Putin finally responds, most Americans are going to go, well, look at what Putin did, completely unprovoked. And you're not going to be going, what do you mean unprovoked, right?
Yes. You can see it coming, but nevertheless, there's plausible deniability, of course, on all this talk about war. Until it happens, you can't blame anybody, but we can see it. We see all the signs of
I
aggravation.
asked Leo last night, Martin Armstrong saying it's 100% chance. Is Socrates' computer model saying it's 100% chance we're going to war?
Yes.
What say you?
Well, I understand how his model works. I didn't program it, but nevertheless, I get the picture. He's probably right. At this point, I don't see how we're going to avoid it. And it'll be ugly. Maybe it'll be a limited warfare or global. Who knows? But my guess is if that kind of scenario opens up, probably we'll experience citizens on the ground. The first thing they'll experience is all their cell phones are going to go dark.
And then what about the power grid?
That'll be right behind it.
Yep, that's what I'm preparing for. That's why I have multiple years of freeze-dried food and enough to barter with. Because if the power grid goes down, what good is money going to do unless you've got cash? But you're going to be able to barter very quickly with food. Necessities will become the new gold. Necessities will become the new gold, right?
Exactly.
Let me ask you this, folks. You go to Worldview Store. And let me just show you this. This is, for what it's worth. I mean, I sell the stuff, so you just take that with into consideration. But assume for a minute I don't sell this. Here's what I would still tell you: any of this freeze-dried food is good for bartering. It lasts 25 years. It's real food. It's just freeze-dried, but it's real food. You can barter with this. With a medical doctor, you could barter with a mechanic, a plumber, whatever you're needing at the moment, right? You can barter. But not only that, you got emergency supplies. And over at the emergency supplies, you have things like a medical kit, sutures. If you had this and you wanted to buy 3 or 4 of these or a pack of the surgical, enough for yourself, but you could order up some as a means of currency. And keep them, somewhere wrapped up and clean and safe where you can pull them out and sell them to someone in good condition. I would be doing the same thing with things like the fire pit, fire pot, the solo stove, the canned heat. I would also do it with, let me see if I can find it real quick. The solar, there we go. This is what I want. These solar packs. These batteries are these AM, FM radio, hand crank. You could have some of those around, one for yourself, but one to barter with. The solar pack or the wireless solar bank for sure. A couple for yourself, but then to barter with. Because some people are going to say, well, if the cell towers come back up or if something, but my other device, depending on what's up and what's down, certain devices you're going to want to charge, right? So I'm just telling you, I would be using some of these things and buying some of these things, and I bought extra for my family. But I also have some I put away for bartering with as currency. Because the essentials go down, these things will become a matter of massive bartering. Would you agree with that or not?
I do. There are so many things that you can use in that vein. For instance, 22 caliber boxes of ammunition. Perfect.
Coffee.
They're small. Coffee. That's another one. These are things people want, and if you have it, they'll pay for it.
Yep. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't want to be sitting in the dark. But if I am, I would like to have a few of my normal comforts, like my daily cups of coffee, right? Right?
Yes,
I mean, seriously, because at that point, it's going to be like, well, I can't do X, Y, and Z, but I can get a book, and sit and read a book by candlelight or, whatever, and enjoy a good cup of coffee. And pretty soon, depending on how long the power's down, the very simple things in life will become your comforts. Because you don't have a lot of other options while the power's out, right? Yeah, you might also learn to play gin like my wife and I did recently. Learn to play gin. Do you play gin?
I love to play gin.
Oh, we're going to have to play.
I grew up on it.
Well, I just learned about a month ago, and my wife and I are loving it. I love gin.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Not drinking Undoubtedly. Yeah.
All right, let's go to this real quick. So this is not good.
Yeah.
And this is coming out of the Trump administration, because I like so much what President Trump is doing, but we got to call balls and strikes. And I'm afraid this is helping set up a national health care system.
Oh, yes.
Would you agree with that?
I do. And the alternative healthcare system is just blossoming right now.
The what?
And
the what?
It's blossoming. The alternate healthcare system, like concierge doctors,
yes.
medical practitioners, and what do you call them? Naturopaths, et cetera.
Functional medicine doctors, like my Dr. Bashima Williams, who will be on later tonight. Dr. Lana.
Yeah, exactly. Some doctors, MDs, they're dropping out of that system, and they're establishing their own practice.
Well, that's what Dr. Bashima is. She's a MD that's functional medicine, and her practice has just exploded.
Yes, and this is going to be the standard going forward. The problem is you can't practice it in a hospital. If you have a patient that has a heart attack or a broken bone or something like that, or needs surgery, your doctor can't do the operation, and well, maybe they can visit you as a patient or as a friend, but not as a doctor.
But because they don't have, they wouldn't have hospital authorization.
Exactly. But
this is why we've got to get patriots and businessmen to set up these hospitals around the country. One in the Mid-South, in these different places, and maybe have them spread throughout, particularly around the red states, right?
Yes, and I think you're going to see this as time goes on. There's lots of procedures that don't require sophisticated hospital facilities, like setting a broken bone, for instance. That doesn't require major surgery or anything like that. Other type of outpatient surgery that can be conducted in an office or maybe an overnight. Those types of clinics will probably pop up in time.
Let's go to this real quick. We're out of time. Bassett, that's our Treasury Secretary, calls for a fundamental reset for Federal Reserve. Okay, now wait a minute. You and I and others have been talking some time. Are we going to see an alternative pop up to the Federal Reserve during the Trump administration? I think he just told us, yes.
Yes, absolutely. And
now the question is, will they do it with the blessing of the Federal Reserve, or will this be a competing system the Federal Reserve hates? And will it be a competing system set up by the tech bros? So are we about to, I'm just asking questions. Are we about to see a war between the bankers and the Federal Reserve and the tech bros?
This is exactly what I've been saying for 5 months now, 6 months now.
I didn't know that, I don't think.
Yeah.
But you and I are thinking along the same lines. Thank you.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So you think the bankers and the tech bros are about to go to war over who's going to control this, which is why they're going toward cryptocurrencies and stable coins and all this?
I think, yes, and I think that, listen to this statement that Bessent said about the Federal Reserve. This is such a slap in the face, I can't believe it. He said, all these PhDs over there, I don't know what they do. This is like universal basic income for academic economists. What? What a slap in the face. So all these PhDs, even around the world, they're all uniformly insulted right now. Yeah. So you can see the hatred building at this point.
Yeah.
We don't need these guys.
I'm on board. Whatever destroys the Federal Reserve, I'm for. But there's the old saying, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know, and don't be careful what you wish for. All those phrases come to my mind, but I'm for anything that destroys the Federal Reserve until we go, oh no, the thing we got's worse than the Federal Reserve.
I know, exactly right. Well, that's life, I guess.
And how do you see it coming down?
We just report it. I just report the news on technocracy, and wherever it falls, that's not my problem.
So tell me this: how do you see this playing out? If they're going to set up an alternative system, how do you see it playing out?
This is already in place, I think, and we have another document that just came out. Oh my gosh, I don't have the name of it here right in front of me, but there was just another 168-page document that came out from the White House, and it was all about the financial system and how it's going to be, the policies and stuff that needs to be in place. It's just overwhelming at this point, the amount of literature and the regulatory structure that's being created. It's coming. It's probably here already in some form, but they just haven't completely uncorked it at this point. But you can see it's going to happen. It absolutely is going to happen, maybe within 2 or 3 months right now.
Whoa. What would 2 or 3 months? What would precipitate that? Some kind of crisis?
No, not at all. What they're planning to do is implement this stable coin.
Yeah.
Aside the dollar. There'd be 1-to-1 on a dollar equals one stable coin.
Right.
So they don't have to have a financial crisis or a collapse of a dollar. They're just going to link them together. Then they'll be linked going forward from that. And at that point, stable coins will take off. The dollar will just be there. And the Fed will have to deal with that.
So this could explain the animosity. This could be the big animosity behind Jerome Powell and President Trump.
It could be, but remember, the central banks are owned by the big banks already. Like J.P. Morgan Chase, Citicorp, et cetera. So these are the major banks that are all in for Trump's crypto plan. So they're going to get theirs, whether it's through the Federal Reserve or through the Trump administration.
Are they betting on both horses in case they don't know which?
You bet.
So in other words, they may want to keep things the way it is, but it's like, okay, but if it's going to get away from us, let's at least get our foot and get involved in that. Get our foot in the door and get involved in that. So either way, we're protected.
My guess is if I was somebody like Jamie Dimon at J.P. Morgan Chase, I would be thinking, why don't we just get rid of this stupid asset, this defunct asset that we call the Federal Reserve? It's not doing anything for us. It's a liability. They're basically bankrupt anyway. Let's just chuck them in the ocean and go over here and do another thing with the Trump administration. I could see that happening.
So there may not be a war at all then going on.
Well, it's kind of you're right. It's not a war in the sense that somebody's going to get really hammered over it, but Powell will be out of a job, I'm sure. But at this point, the Federal Reserve is irrelevant going forward. That's my point. Yeah. It is going to be irrelevant.
Are we ever going to do away with the IRS?
Good question. I don't know.
Technocracy.news. Technocracy.news. He and Logan House every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Central. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 p.m. Central. Right here at Worldview Tube. Technocracy.news. Patrick, thank you.
You bet. Thank you. God bless.
You too, my friend. We'll be right back after this break.
True beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies cat's claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisol collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Discover the science behind Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Read powerful testimonials from doctors and real customers who've experienced life-changing results, and explore other wellness products from Bella Grace. Bella Grace Elixir is more than just a product. It's a solution. Visit melissahousebg.com today.
Joining me now is Dr. Bashima Williams. How you doing, Doc?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me today, Brandon. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for being on. Hey, let's talk about Hulk Hogan. Died last week of, a cardiovascular issue, I guess, a heart attack.
Yeah.
71. This has been all in the news. What are your thoughts? I mean, I guess you don't see it. You don't know his medical history or records, but overall, people dying, a sudden, unexpected death, heart attack. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, my thoughts are that over 365,000 events happen out of the hospital. Cardiovascular cardiac arrest happens out of the hospital every year. And of those cases, 365,000, 90% mortality rate. That means you have a 9 out of 10 chance of dying if you have an event at home. So the most important thing that I wanted to talk about today, and I'm glad you're bringing this up, and just all condolences to Hulk Hogan and family. He's pretty active. I was kind of shocked. I actually, when I looked it up to see why he died, I wasn't expecting that given the recent convention and how strong and powerful he looked. Certainly wasn't expecting to hear that he died. So when I looked and read, and again, I'm not his doctor, I'm not anyone's doctor. This is all just information, by the way. So I have no personal connection to Hulk Hogan, but what we found is that he had a cardiac event. So more than likely a heart attack. We call that a myocardial infarction, where there is not enough oxygen going to the heart tissue due to a blockage of an artery because of extensive plaquing. And so what we want to talk about today, and just kind of talk over a couple cases, is some of the warning symptoms that you might be having, because I feel like ever since COVID, Brandon, doctors have gotten a bad rap of being sort of these villains almost because of COVID and the COVID vaccine. But what I want to be clear on is that, obviously we're not villains. We really want to help, but unfortunately some of the information, the mainstream information that we're being taught, that is perpetuating what we do, obviously. So if we're being told that the COVID vaccine is great and it's life-changing, then we're going to want to give it, unless you think outside of the box and do the research yourself, like I have with just about everything, hormone replacement therapy, COVID vaccine, whatever it is. But with cardiovascular events, if you're having chest pain, pressure, shortness of breath, and especially chest pain with exertion, that means you're walking on a beach like my sister was for 3 weeks, walked on the beaches of Florida and was short of breath every day, and finally went home to San Diego, and she just thought it was the weather. When she got home to San Diego and the weather was better, she called and asked, what should I do? And we immediately sent her to the hospital, and she unfortunately had pretty extensive blockage of a couple arteries that they had to do surgery on. So you cannot ignore the chest pain, pressure, shortness of breath, and pain going into the left side of the jaw, or the jaw in general, but left side and left arm. And also some non-specific symptoms like nausea, vomiting, indigestion, lightheadedness, dizziness, ringing in the ears, heart palpitations, things like that. Interestingly, one sign of heart disease is if you have a lot of wrinkles on your earlobe.
Wait a minute. What? What was that last one?
Wrinkles in your earlobe. So if you have a lot of wrinkles in your earlobe, that's a sign of coronary artery disease. So that's
Logan, can you come out here? Can you come out here? How do my earlobes look, Logan?
I can't tell, so I would tell you, but I can't tell. But yeah, if they're wrinkly. So that's one place you don't want wrinkles. But here's the problem. Here's a statistic. We're talking about all these symptoms, right? Chest pain, like a brick sitting on your chest. And obviously, there's a lot of other symptoms. But like if you get this chest pressure on your chest, and especially it gets worse, like this one doctor I know who was having chest pain and got down on the ground and did 10 push-ups, and yep, it got worse. So he went to the ER because, he did his own little stress test at home, right? He exerted himself and it got worse. And so he went to the ER. But unfortunately, the reason I really, really, really want to bring this up today is 50% of people present with their first actual event, not with chest pain or pressure. And we're missing way too many of these, which means insofar as cardiovascular disease is concerned, you have to be your number one advocate, and you have to know what your risk factors are.
What about, I think I sent you a video where one guy is talking about patients exhibit signs, and one of the common signs they exhibit before they die, and then they end up dead, is ringing in the ears and fatigue.
Yes, I think that was a really good video. And I think that video was mostly focusing on nitric oxide production and how it naturally decreases as we get older. And the problem with that is if you don't have a lot of nitric oxide, then you don't have a lot of vasodilation of blood vessels. You have more vasoconstriction, which if you have some plaque here, now you have even less room for the blood to flow. So there's a lot of things you can do to naturally increase your nitric oxide production, primarily beets, eating beet or beet juice, or even there's so many.
That's what he said. He was saying, you need to get on this, and this can solve the problem. So you agree with that?
Oh yeah, 100%. But and then we have supplements like that maximize your nitric oxide production. The problem is, a little bit is good, too much is not good. The problem is it can lower your blood pressure. So you do have to be careful. So I don't mind adding, for me personally, I do juice a little bit of beets, and I juice the stems of the beets, which have less sugar in them, along with other vegetables. I think that's a really good thing to do.
I love beets. I might shock you that I love beets, but they have to be cooked.
That's fine.
Just steam them in a little pan, my wife will. Slice them up,
awesome.
And I love beets.
I do too. You just have to watch your blood sugar when you eat them because they are a root vegetable, so they are very starchy.
Are they going to make my blood pressure go up or down?
They should make your blood pressure go down because it increases your natural nitric oxide production in your body. Because
so how often should I be eating beets, let's say?
You can eat them every day. You can eat one or two little beets. If they're the little guys, you can eat one or two of them.
But if I was wanting to do the health benefits, and my wife said, we'll just add beets to the menu for dinner one night a week, is that enough?
No, do it every day. You want to add the L-arginine rich foods.
Okay, so what if she doesn't want to cook beets every day? Do you have something for us?
So we do have supplements for cardiovascular, which include nitric oxide production. However, we do not have them on My Vitamin because if we are going to use them, we really, really want to educate patients. So that wasn't part of today's plan necessarily, but it's definitely something that's in the works in terms of how to do it in a safe way. Listen, Brandon, I'm sure and a lot of your viewers, they have really been supporting you and this company in terms of just using these supplements. But I'll tell you what, people don't like to stop these supplements, not because they've become addicted to them, because they can actually feel them working. And our supplements are professional grade. So when we have a nitric oxide supplement, it's going to affect you. And so we want to make sure that we're doing it in a safe way where it won't make people's blood pressure drop down too low. But it's a great supplement to use primarily for blood pressure regulation and for pre-workout. So you take it pre-workout and actually increases the amount of blood flow to the muscles, and it gives you a little bit more capacity for endurance.
Okay, so, now,
let me just say this, that's to come. I've struggled a lot with the cardiovascular supplements in our line because I don't know what I want to necessarily give people access to, because we just have to be careful with that.
Okay.
Because ours are strong.
So if people are, manifesting these signs that could be a heart attack, take it seriously.
If you're having these symptoms, go to the ER. And 50% of people will not have these symptoms. They'll just have an event. That's the problem. And primarily because some of these symptoms, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, are non-specific. So here's what you want to pay attention to. What you want to pay attention to is assess your natural risk. And how you do that is you do something called a cardiovascular risk assessment. So number one is family history. If you have anyone in your family who's had a heart attack before the age of 65, then that's a positive family history. And that's probably one of the biggest predictors. So you want to kind of listen up and take this more seriously. One of my friends had who was 45, super healthy eater, super healthy, worked out all the time, did a lot of heart rate variability work, actually nationally, so really well known for this. His brother at age 45 had a heart attack. And so he decided, well, even though his cholesterol looks good, and by the way, their dad had a heart attack around in his 50s. Oh, wow. So even though he was a healthy eater, cholesterol was great, he decided to go get something called a CT angiogram, which found him to have a 50% blocked artery in the heart that is called the Widowmaker. That means that one, have you heard of the Widowmaker?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
50% blocked in a 40-something-year-old male who lived the right lifestyle, took the right supplements, ate the right food, exercised, did heart rate variability, very mellow personality, but it's family history.
Did he survive?
Well, he didn't have a heart attack because he did a test to show that he had plaque. And so then he had to do even more than what he was doing before, which unfortunately in his case, and there are cases where you have to take a statin drug sometimes. Now, we're not anti-medicine, but man, we are picky about what we use. So like in our lab, what we'll do is we'll test to see if you're a high producer or a high absorber of cholesterol. And if you're a high producer, then maybe a little statin drug, which I do like better than red yeast rice. Red yeast rice is very unregulated, and I've seen a lot of bad things happen with that, and that's a natural statin. It still works like a statin drug works. But if you use a statin properly at the very lowest dose, and maybe every 3 days or every other day or whatever it is to reach your goals, then you can safely do it. But then also, if you're using a statin drug, by the way, if you have a family history and you're scared about your cholesterol and you already have plaque, there are a lot of good, legitimate long-term studies, multiple, that show that statins can actually work when you use them properly. So for example, I will never prescribe a statin drug without putting you on high-dose CoQ10, because when you take statins, you will also block natural production of CoQ10, and then you get the muscle aches and pains and brain fog and all this other crap that comes along with a statin. The other thing I do, you will be shocked to know how many patients I have that are on Crestor, 5 milligrams, not that many actually, but I use Crestor a lot. It's a brand name drug. And I only have to use like 5 milligrams 3 times a week. I don't have to use 40 milligrams every day to reach our goals because of everything else that we're doing with our patients. So family history is super important. Another huge red flag risk factor is if you have diabetes. Remember, I think we talked about this last week, where blood sugar actually is a pro-oxidation maker. So it's pro-inflammation. If you have high blood sugars, you're going to have a lot of inflammation in your body. And that unfortunately affects the lining of the artery to make more plaque. Okay. So family history, diabetes, and then I'll just go through a couple others. Tobacco use, obviously, if you're a smoker. Now, if you have a family history with a dad who smoked 4 packs a day, that might not be as important as if you had a family history with a dad who really took care of himself really well. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Sedentary lifestyle, cholesterol, you want to have an advanced lipid profile done. Most people that come see me do not have an advanced lipid profile, and so they don't know the breakdown of their cholesterol. They just know their total cholesterol, triglycerides, LDL, and HDL. But you want to have the fractionation of the total lipids and something called an ApoB. All of those are individual cardiac risk factors. So definitely you want to have that. High blood pressure. And listen to this. If you're a man who's age 45 or over, or if you're a woman age 55 or over and not on hormone replacement therapy. So hormone replacement therapy, when it's done properly, is cardioprotective. Obviously, obesity.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, obviously. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I call menopause, the 3 big things with menopause, the invisible killers: the heart disease, the brain fog and cognitive decline, and the bone disease that comes along with it, which is why my number one reason why I prescribe bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, because those are real killers, Brandon. This is what I see in my practice, and people wish they would have. When I'm doing their bone density and they're minus 35% in their bone density, they're like, well, I wish somebody would have told me. And I'm like, I wish somebody would have told you too. But I've been telling people this since 2000. For over 20 something years. And I did not listen. Now there's a bad study, the WHI study, that scared everyone from using hormones. The WHI study is a very bad study. And, thank God there's some really smart doctors right now in Washington trying to reverse the recommendations that one study caused and wreaked a lot of havoc in women, because it really confused a lot of people that didn't know the actual science and data. So that obviously some inflammatory markers I always check on people, like homocysteine levels, MTHFR, and fibrinogen and other inflammatory markers. Those are things to do that everyone can do. So just to kind of reiterate, everyone should have an advanced lipid profile to include a total ApoB and something called an LP(a). If you just if you ask your doctor for an advanced lipid profile from, Quest or LabCorp, they can order that for you. It's not a big deal. But, and then also, unfortunately, some doctors are like, no, you don't need that because your cholesterol looks normal. I would say a large number of my patients have, quote, normal looking cholesterol. But when we fractionate, that's when we see the problem. And that's when we see the cholesterol problem linked with the family history.
So definitely ask for that, even if the doctor pushes back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately. And the reason why they push back, a lot of times they're like, they don't really know honestly, they don't know what to do with that data. So if you don't know what to do with the test, then why would you order it as a physician? And so, it's becoming more and more normal now, but 15 years ago, no one was ordering those tests. And so many patients would listen to a podcast and come see me and ask me because their doctor said, you don't need that, but you do need it. Everyone should have a baseline. The other thing you should have a really good assessment for is blood sugar regulation. Have an A1C done, have a fasting insulin done, and also obviously fasting blood sugar. And also, consider wearing continuous glucose monitor. Those are pretty amazing to see what and how.
Where do you get those?
There's some online that you can buy, but also your doctor could prescribe those. I personally prescribe them for anyone who wants it because I think it's great information.
How do they work?
They just attach to the back of your arm. I actually demonstrated that on a video on doctors being functional on my Instagram page, doctors, DOCTORS. So spell that out, being functional, Instagram. And I have a video on how to use it because so many people were trying to put it on and would mess it up. And it's like $75 every monitor. So you don't want to mess it up. Super easy if don't freak yourself out with the needle. Some people look at the needle and they're like, oh my God, it's like you don't even feel it. Just trust me. And then it hooks up to your phone and you can monitor in real time.
Wow.
Blood sugar. So like you can eat the beets and then look at your phone and go, oh my gosh.
That sounds fun, actually.
It's so much fun. I'll send some to you.
Yeah, please
and then
do.
I will, definitely. And then not only that, but the other big thing is that you can be like, ooh, if I eat beets, but I eat them last, so I eat my proteins and my broccoli first, and then I'll eat the beets last. How does it affect my blood sugar? Because we know if you eat starchy foods last, it'll affect your blood sugar less. Wow. So,
all right, now
the other,
yeah,
go ahead.
Are you done with your list?
No, I have two other tests that I just want to make sure we talk about.
Okay.
That are very important. Okay. Obviously, some inflammatory markers I already mentioned, fibrinogen, homocysteine, CRP, things like that. So those are all normal. But there's a test called a CT coronary calcium score. That is a CT test. So it's a machine test. It's a 6-minute scan. Okay. It's about $150. You do need a prescription for it. Again, I don't know if your doctor is going to give you that or not, but you want to ask for it. The people that get a CT coronary calcium score test in my practice are the people who have 3 to 4 risk factors or more, because I want to see what we're dealing with. I want to see how aggressive I need to be treating this person, right? So a CT coronary calcium score, $150, cash pay. You go in, you're done in 6 minutes. It's about as much radiation as a chest x-ray. So really not too bad. There's a supplement like that glutathione that you sell that you can take before and right after the scan just to help with detox and reactive oxygen.
Is it like going to an MRI?
It's similar to that, yes. 6 minutes, that's all it is. And then you get this score, and the score tells you how much calcium buildup they see in the arteries. So if you have a 0 score, you're probably low risk, which is great. But if your score is really high, now we need to get more involved because we don't want you to be presenting with a heart attack because you're probably not going to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's really interesting you said that because one of my questions was going to be, hey, is there a scan I can do to see if my heart's in good shape? And yes, the answer is yes.
There's a lot of different scans, but that's an easy one, $150. Now, if you are high risk like my brother was, so again, we have a very extensive family history in my family, so I've had all these. So I know what I'm talking about, believe me, because I've done it, been there, done that. Tina's next on my list to do, by the way. So anyway, my brother, I'm like, he saw his cardiologist, had a stress test. It was negative, which stress tests are okay, but they're not great at detecting early disease, unfortunately. So he had a negative stress test, but I noticed that he was a little more tired than he normally is. He's normally like full of energy and doing everything and hiking with me and everything. And this time I went to San Diego and he didn't want to go hike. So I'm like, you're getting a CT angiogram. Okay. CT angiogram is a little more involved. That is where they actually have to inject a little dye in you and it lights up all the arteries. Okay. Now that test is $1,500. Okay. And if you don't have chest pain, pressure, shortness of breath, and your CT and your stress test is normal, insurance is not going to pay for it. But I'm like, I told my brother he has to get it done. I'm like, you have to do it. And it was positive. And he unfortunately had to have 2 stents put in.
You saved his life, doctor.
Yeah, and my sister Lamia is so far. But you know what? They still treat me like I'm the younger sister.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
What are you going to do?
Listen, these are people I can talk about, Brandon. We have so many patient stories like this. I mean, on a monthly basis. My husband just had someone who had a CT coronary score of 762, and his cardiologist gave him a stress test and it was normal. And that guy came back to my husband, and my husband's like, you're getting a CT coronary angiogram. And he did. And he had a huge blockage in his widowmaker. This is not uncommon. 365,000 events. It's the #1 killer in this country. And you have to be your #1 advocate.
Absolutely.
That's why I love being on this show, because I hope everyone who listens to this, if we could be saving lives, that's what we're doing here. We're actually saving lives, and that's what gets me excited. So anyway, a CT calcium score, not a big deal, $150. And anyone who has multiple cardiac risk factors should get that. Obviously, if you have multiple cardiac risk factors and you're worried about all this, go see a cardiologist, a really good cardiologist, because they can walk you through all this. And now with the incorporation of AI into all of this, that CT coronary angiogram used to be thousands and thousands of dollars. $1,500 is not bad, and they're using AI to interpret it and interpret the probability of you having an event based on the thousands of other scans that the AI has already read and outcomes with them. So really, it's exploding, but we're still seeing 50% of people presenting with a heart attack. Why?
In other words, 50% of the people have signs they're about to have a heart attack, but they ignore the signs.
No, 50% of people don't even think they have signs. They just present with a heart attack.
Okay.
For example, I can walk into a room in the ER when I worked ER shifts. The nurse will say, Joe's a 62-year-old presenting with chest pain, and I'll walk in and evaluate him. 50% of people are presenting with a heart attack or some kind of cardiovascular event. They're not presenting with chest pain, pressure, shortness of breath, or all these other symptoms.
So they have no signs.
Right. So you have to assess your risk based on like my friend.
So 50% of people show signs in advance, 50% don't. Wow. Okay.
And that's not okay. Not in today's world. Not with all the other things we can do for these people. That is not okay. Like my brother would have probably been dead by now.
Well, like and he's your older brother, right?
Yeah, he's my older brother.
Well, he better be treating you with a lot of respect. That's all I can say.
You would think.
Well, you need to let your older brother know that a lot of people in our audience think you walk on water. Even my big friend who's 6'5" and 300 and some odd pounds, hunter, fisherman, he's a rough redneck. He thinks Dr. Bashima is amazing. So.
Oh, that's sweet. So what can we do about this, Brandon? Well, a couple things. Mediterranean diet is the best diet for prevention of cardiovascular disease. And basically, it just goes back to eating whole foods most of the time. We don't live in a little box, so if we're going to have a brownie every now and again, great, but make it a conscious decision to have something like that, not a everyday habit, right? So most of the time, you want to be eating a lot of vegetables, a little bit of fruit like berries, fish, and other poultries, and then also healthy fats, the olives, the avocado. I know we talked about the avocado last time. I told you to freeze it and put it in a smoothie. You won't even taste it, or make the avocado chocolate mousse. That's actually not too bad for you. And then of course the supplements that we have on myvitamin.com/worldview. Those supplements are amazing. All of them have the omega-3, the really super clean omega-3. It's super clean, and you know it is because you're not burping up a fish smell. It's also triple distilled, so it takes out all the fishy stuff and all the stuff that's bad in fish, like all the heavy metals and things like that, as much as possible. And, of course, we have prescription medications. Just know which one you need. Are you an overproducer of bad cholesterol or an overabsorber of bad cholesterol? You need to figure out which one of that, which group you belong to, and and sort of and go in that direction. Antioxidants. We just created the antioxidant pack that will be featuring.
We're going to feature that next week, I hope.
We definitely are. It's already on. We're actually doing a whole bunch of new things. So yes, that's definitely there already. We just haven't fully released it. But really, that's what it all boils down to: exercise, sleep, the normal pillars of health, diet, and certain supplements and things like that are really, really important. So. And
Doc, of course, we're on Worldview Tube, but our worldviewtube.com/health channel that this rolls onto as well, that's doing huge numbers. I mean, that's just 24 hours a day of interviews like this with you, Dr. Lana, Nick Helsher, the epidemiologist, Dr. James Thorpe, the OBGYN, Dr. Retta Moon. I think she's a pediatrician. I mean, all it is health interview. And that channel's doing huge numbers. I mean, who would have thought that a channel that's just sitting and talking with great minds about health would be so popular, and with people that are also not the typical audience I would expect, like Vic, who likes to hunt and fish and football. He just seems to love watching the health channel.
Everyone is worried about their health and wellness not because they're afraid of dying, but because while you're on this earth, you want to be functional. That's right. What we are all about, the reason why we started myvitamin.com and the courses that we created and all of these things. And you know what, Brandon, we are booming. We are so busy. Our practice, we have such a long wait list, both my husband and I do. And people are paying out of pocket. They're not using their insurance with neither one of us because you can't get the care that you need with insurance, unfortunately. Now, you can have it for disaster reasons, of major surgeries and things like that, ER visits, things like that. But in terms of day to day, people are lining up to see us, and we feel so blessed with that. But this is why I also committed 5 hours a week to podcasts, and also I started a radio show. And
are we carrying those? Are we carrying those?
Carrying what?
The podcast you're doing.
I'm doing podcasts with you guys. I have 5 different people that I do podcasts with every month.
I thought you were doing your own podcast or something.
I have a radio show. You can carry my radio show if you want to.
Yeah, we need to carry that, Logan.
Yeah, if you want to, I can give you the information.
Are you doing it on camera or just audio?
Just audio.
Let's add a camera to it and we can run it on the health channel.
Yeah, we can do that. I can do I interview people all the time.
Yeah, we should definitely be doing that. Logan, get with Dr. Bashim on that, will you please? All right, Doc.
Yeah.
myvitamin.com/worldview. Please use that so we get credit, folks. It helps keep this network and all the free channels going. And we're doing 5 free channels now. Our Bible Prophecy channel, our Bible channel, our health channel, our news channel, and our normal Worldview channel. I mean, all free. So we need to support and pay for it. These are great products you need anyway. Support your health and us at the same time. myvitamin.com/worldview. Say hi to Dr. Mike.
Mike? Yeah. You got it.
Almost said Mike, but Dr. Mike. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll be right back after this break.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
All right, joining me now is Dr. Lana for our weekly update. Dr. Lana, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Hello, hello. Always a pleasure.
You too. Hey, is it okay if we ask our audience to pray for your husband?
Oh, you're kind, and I won't get into all the details, but you're very kind, and I'll say yes always to that.
All right, good. All right, we'll be praying for your husband. Little medical thing. We all have those at some point, right, with family and ourselves. So we'll be praying for Dr.
Right.
Lana for quick
So.
quick healing and peace in the lives of all involved, right?
Very kind. Very kind.
Your husband's a trooper. He's a trooper. All right. Let's talk about gut health. Gut health. We keep coming back to that, but there's more in the news about gut health. And I guess this, again, is something our audience obviously knows about, but a lot of people don't. You know, I had a meeting outside the studio today for a moment, which is not very common, actually, that I get outside of the studio. Oh, look at that. There's sunshine versus a dark studio with no windows. And I was noticing this gentleman in this meeting. He was working at this company. I was meeting with someone else off to the side. And when you looked at the guy, he was probably, I don't know, close to 6 feet tall. In the face, you thought, that's a thin, appropriate sized individual. But then when he sat down in the chair and his shirt went a little tighter, he's wearing a sports shirt, I noticed, his belly. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's something I guess guys that, he's about my age, in the 50s, start trying to deal with that. But I said to myself, I wonder how much that is gluten. I hear about the gluten belly, right? Because you're looking at this gentleman and his face, his arms, everything looks very proportionate. And then all of a sudden the belly. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't know, is that a beer belly? Is that a gluten belly? How much of this is related to gut health? So I'm thinking about the guys in our audience who, like me, want to look nice, want to be in shape, and don't want to carry that around. How much of that is, for me, it's not a beer belly because I don't drink, but alcohol. I drink water, and what else do I drink? Grape juice, etc. Coffee, but no alcohol. So for me, it's not a beer belly. I've gotten off gluten for a good month or more now, so that's decreasing inflammation. And of course, I'm very aware of sugars. But how much of this that we're seeing among, say, middle-aged men is gluten belly or gut issues?
And being the digestive health specialist for all of you and your the audience here and you, Brandon, it is so much more than just gluten. And you're right. I mean, if you get rid of gluten, and not everybody is allergic to it. There's just about, say, round numbers, like 15% of the population and lower have issues with gluten, depending on what they have going on. If it's irritable bowel, if it's diverticulitis, if it's Crohn's, if it's colitis, if it's celiac disease. But here's the thing. When people give up gluten, think about everything that gluten is in. So they're giving up cookies and brownies and cakes and muffins and processed foods and all that.
Don't I know
packages.
it? Don't I know it? Because I crave a good Oreo cookie or a good chocolate chip cookie and several blueberry muffins. Although my wife has found a really good gluten-free blueberry muffin mix that you wouldn't know. You would not. We actually had pizza the other night, gluten-free. You would not know. It's getting really good.
Right. My patients many, many years ago that I had to absolutely take off gluten. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to really try and do some substitutes. But now it is easier. So the nutshell with the gut, and as you know, in about a week, your audience will be able to go to a wonderful page and get an amazing program on gut health. If you have acid reflux, if you have bloat, if you have irritable bowel syndrome, this is for you. But here's the thing with gut health, Brandon, besides gluten, a lot of it is medication. Okay, so if people are on, even from birth control pills to over-the-counter medications, people are taking like omeprazole and Linzess or just antacids, things like that, that people are grabbing in the grocery store and the drugstore for a lot of different reasons. Maybe they're pain medication over the counter, or maybe they are for bloat or gut issues over the counter. That destroys your good gut bacteria. Any pharmaceutical medication destroys your good gut bacteria. One pill in one prescription. Of course, alcohol destroys it. I don't drink either, but sugar, processed food will destroy your good gut bacteria. So what happens to people is you don't have enough good gut bacteria. And you've got all these symptoms then. You've got the bloat, you've got some GI issues. And the other thing that I explain in the program, one of the biggest myths about gut health is that if a person has acid reflux, GERD, bloat, abdominal discomfort, or irritable bowel syndrome, all the above, they don't have enough stomach acid, that they don't have enough hydrochloric acid in their stomach. Wrong, incorrect. That is a huge myth. You don't want to take medication that reduces your stomach acid. And it's not about not having enough stomach acid. You need more. You need more stomach acid to properly churn up and break down all the good food you're eating. Even if it's organic fruits and vegetables, you need stomach acid to break it up properly so that it can be absorbed in your small intestine and your blood and your cells. So the end of this story, my friends, is what happens with those digestive issues, whether it's gluten or medications or processed foods or carbonated drinks will do it, all of the above destroys your gut bacteria. What happens over the years, if you're over 35 years old, this is probably starting to go on, is you have, and I explain this in the program, what's called, the fancy name, lower esophageal sphincter. So let's say LES. And it's like the door, the steel door that is top of your stomach, bottom of your esophagus. Well, when you eat, that should close. That LES should close because you've got all the acid churning up the food. So what happens with age and with processed foods and maybe gluten and medications and alcohol and carbonated beverages, and there's a host of things that destroy your gut bacteria. People get unbalanced gut bacteria that have dysbiosis. What happens is that muscle starts to wave open like draperies at a beach house, and the beach breeze is blowing open the draperies. So what happens, the acid starts coming up and people start getting, heartburn and bloat and even chest pain and tightness. And that can lead into autoimmune diseases and even esophageal cancer, stomach cancer, colon cancer, autoimmune diseases, really bad things. And you have to go back to focusing on your gut health and healing your gut health. So we're gonna help a lot of people. Do you know, by the way, I'm a numbers girl, 101 million. Hear this out. Most Americans are going, I'm okay, Dr. Lana. I don't have bloat. I think I'm okay. 101 million Americans have acid reflux or irritable bowel syndrome, and they're in danger of all of those things that I just said.
So that's a third of the country.
1 in 3 of all of you beautiful people probably need this program and need to really sit up and say, wow.
Now, where do our folks access that?
We're gonna announce that. You can announce that next week, and your lovely son is going to put a link in there. We'll give them all the good information. And it's really, there is a step-by-step process. There's a 3-phase process. If you have bloat, if you have acid reflux, there's a 4-phase process if you have irritable bowel syndrome. And I promise you, you're not going to learn this on ChatGPT, and your gastroenterologist isn't trained in this. I feel, you all know, blessed by God, blessed by Jesus to be trained the way that I was by these amazing medical doctors that put the patients first. And so this is going to be the first of several programs that we're going to have to help you out. And it's for your audience. It's just for your audience. So stay tuned. And you'll let them know. We'll let them know probably next week where the landing page is and everything. It's really, really important. Mm-hmm. It affects your immune system, how you think, foggy brain, all kind of things, your energy. It affects all kind of things. Your gut health does.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Anything else in the news we should know about? I know one. I played this. I want to get your response to this. Oh my, this makes me so angry. I knew about this. I knew about this a year ago. Let's see, RFK Jr.
And I will share while you're looking that up. I'll pop in and share because we're the good team here, Brandon, is honestly, and we can't make this up, the Gatatana alone has nutrients in it that absolutely support your immune system, because you know that 70% of your immune system is in your gut.
Yes.
But the nutrients that you need for all kind of other issues are all in the Gatatana. They're in the Tetrasod as well. And you don't have to worry if you have impaired gut tissues or impaired gut health, because the phytoplankton is absorbed right in your bloodstream, right in your cells. That's not the case with healthy food. It needs to go through your GI tract.
Right. Of course,
phytoplankton doesn't.
And I take that every day. Melissa takes it every day. By the way, I've been dosing double on it. I'm really trying to get, whatever it was that hit me this last spring after we got back from DC. I don't know if it was COVID for the third or fourth time, but I was already struggling before DC with my throat. Whatever this is, I don't know if you're hearing this in your practice, whatever I've had since March, it seemed to really go after my throat. And I've had the hardest time fighting being hoarse. Okay, now I talk for a living, and I have for years. My voice should be able to, I sing, I've stood there and done hour concert. But I mean, just a day on the air can make me hoarse by night. My voice has gotten really weak. And I don't know if this was a virus that was particularly going after people's voices and throats or what, I don't know. But I've been doing Numi 2 or 3 times a day. Melissa's been doing that as well. She says she's seen a big increase. I've been doing Numi 2 or 3 times a day. Supposed to do it in the morning and night, I know, but I've been doubling up, sometimes 4 times a day. I've been doing Gatatana twice a day. So I've been doing my Bella Grace twice a day. I'm really trying to boost my immune system. Have you heard about any of this that I'm talking about? Some kind of virus or something going around that seems to go after people's throats or vocal cords or, just.
Yes. And there's so many strains of virus, and the common cold's a coronavirus, and there's, multitude of viruses out there. But for the throat, honestly, and I have pre-surgery, I'll share. I have my husband is swishing 2 white capsules or 2 teaspoons every hour on the hour that he's awake for surgery, because glutathione removes all the viruses, all the heavy metals, all the poisons and toxins and forever chemicals, and even the toxins from your cell phone called peroxynitrite. No other molecule in the world other than glutathione can remove that and everything that I just mentioned. So it's amazing. No side effects or anything. Glutathione's in our cells, and we started losing it at age 20. The other thing that'll help you all out is with the Gatatana. You're absolutely right. And I can say this legally here to help you all. This is pure nutrition. Everybody, honestly, I've never said this about one particular thing. Every American should take 1 scoop of Gatatana a day. There's no contraindications. This is God's food. You can give it to a toddler, a grade schooler, a teenager, a baby, because it's food. It's microscopic food. It's the first nutrient on the planet. I was talking to our CEO earlier, and he said, this is the pole position if you're into racing or race car racing. This is the pole position of nutrition. It's the first thing, and all of the nutrients go inside your cell membranes and fuel your mitochondria. So this is basic nutrition from God. Man didn't make it. Man didn't add anything to it. We just dried it, put it in the jar. This is something, honestly, every single American should take a scoop a day. If, and this is the legal part, compliance, right? If your health has suddenly become your number one priority, you went to the doctor and got some really, really upsetting news, you could take 10 scoops a day. 5 before lunch, 5 before dinner, 5 before breakfast, 5 before lunch. You could take 10 scoops a day. And that's what hundreds of thousands of people did in Canada for 12 years. This, the tetrasod, is 95% gaditana. This is 95% nutrition and 5% superoxide dismutase, the strain of phytoplankton that has the most powerful antioxidant in it, superoxide dismutase. And this is plants from the ocean. So if you want to boost your immune system, or you work out and exercise a lot, you want to do the tetrasod. And once again, legally, if health has suddenly become your number one priority, you can take 10 scoops a day. And there's zero contraindications with anything, with medications, nothing, because it's literally God's first food on the planet.
Okay, before I play this clip that's, again, had my blood boiling last night.
Yes.
But you are hearing people around the country struggling with vocal issues.
Yes, and I'll help you out really quick.
What do you think it is? What do you think it is?
Well, it's just viruses attack different parts. Different viruses can attack different parts. Sometimes, COVID was the mainly respiratory system. And then we know the vaccines hit the reproductive system, cardiovascular system, and all of that. So with this throat thing that's going on, absolutely, I would do the power pack. If you can, do the blue, the Numi and the tetrasod. The other thing that you can all do, and this would help you, Brandon, you probably have throat coat tea from the grocery store. Did you ever get throat coat tea? From the grocery store, it's in the section of tea bags. It's called throat coat. And it has a lot of good things in it to soothe the throat, especially for people that speak a lot or that scratchiness. Obviously, you can do hot sea salt water. Don't scald yourself, but as warm as you can stand it, and put a couple tablespoons of pink sea salt in it. Gargle with that several times a day as well. Excellent. The last thing I'll share with all of you, besides this and this, don't ever be without these, is local honey has natural properties. If you can get it local from where you live, and you take a tablespoon a day, that elixir is also very good. And God made that too, but if you can't get local honey. So there you go. There's my Dr. tips for all that.
Excellent. Now, I knew about this last summer. I found out about this last summer, but I didn't have any authoritative information to really talk much about it. I played this last night on our Worldview 2 Washington report. And Jim Paff, he had never heard this. He was irate too. I think most of you are going to be angry when you see this, but thank the Lord for RFK Jr. and his team. Watch and listen to this, my friends.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS secretary. Addiction typically affects about 10% of any population, but it becomes a national crisis when the addictive substance suddenly becomes available. And today we are facing a new addiction crisis because of the availability of synthetic kratom, which is also called gas station heroin.
Our focus is not on kratom or the kratom plant. Our concern is with the synthetic concentrated byproduct. It goes by several names. We call it 7-OH as the collective term. 7-OH is not just like an opioid. It is an opioid, and yet it is sold in vape stores, in smoke shops, in convenience stores, and gas stations.
And they're marketed for children. They're gummy bears. They're bright colors. They're candy flavored.
It's legal, but it's an addiction that's ruining lives. So we are issuing a report from the FDA to educate doctors and parents alike. We want everyone to understand the risks. 7-OH is 13 times more potent than morphine. The FDA is going to be recommending that the DEA consider the synthetic concentrated byproduct of kratom called 7-OH as a Schedule 1 controlled substance. And so that's part of our efforts here.
Marty and Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for doing this, because it also puts Congress on notice too, right? We're not only educating the public, but you're educating Congress about 7-OH. Fortunately, we have a secretary that understands addiction, and you're willing to stand up and actually take this on.
Thank you, Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. This is a product that is today available in gas stations all over America, and smoke shops and vape shops. You need to have that conversation with your kids, and you need to have that conversation with your physician. Thank you all very much.
Well, there you go. Is that not make you angry? Now, most Americans don't know this. I just found out about it a year ago. Jim Papp, my co-host on that Worldview 2 Wash Report, he's very up on what's going on. He didn't know about it, which I'm guessing if someone like Jim Papp, who studies the news and everything like I do, didn't know about it, there's a lot of Americans that don't. Gas station heroin, as it's called, marketed to children, that is 13 times stronger than morphine. It's not like opioids. It is an opioid. I mean, can you believe this, Dr. Lana? In gas stations and vape shots?
When I tell you, and your audience knows that we don't plan this is God. This is Jesus. So just today, I was helping someone because their niece that's in high school just started going, the gas station, opioid, gas station, heroin, in the vapes and all the other products there, and was having some behavior issues, and then started getting those products because, this young girl wanted to chill out and
I was about to say they have anxiety, which is it's the buzzword of all the young people. It's kind of become their word that supposedly justifies whatever. Well, I've got anxiety. I mean, I got my finger on this one. I did a show on this a few years ago, and I'm telling you, I have talked to enough parents and grandparents. We get a lot of emails here. So we're able to kind of figure out what the teens are saying and doing. And the thing is, all of them say they're suffering from anxiety. Now, some of them maybe are, from COVID shots to vaccines to all the garbage that's in the food. And who knows what's in these vapes they're vaping. But, so many of these kids have anxiety. And then they start self-medicating. And they find out they can self-medicate at what they pick up at the gas station. Am I right?
You are right. I just had this conversation with a dear friend of mine. We've been friends for 20 years, and this is their niece. She's like, oh my gosh. And again, we can't plan this, but the glutathione removes every toxin from the body. Okay. And what a lot of you don't know, in one of the programs, I will let the cat out of the bag, as each month we're going to, over the next 3 months, help you all with programs that you won't be able to get anywhere else. But we are going to have one for the brain that would cover everything from brain fog to ADD, behavior issues, all the way to helping Alzheimer's and dementia. So what a lot of you don't realize, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned it here, but in Canada, this was first released. It was sold in 3,000 pharmacies in Canada. They used a different box and name. And that's why David came to me and said, the CEO of Global Phytoplankton Alliance said, oh my gosh, American families deserve to know about Gadatana and Tetrasod. So in Canada, 1 scoop a day of Gadatana, we're not making any health claims, but parents just began to give it to their teenagers who had aggressive behavior. They were goth, they were dark, they were cutting themselves, you name it. And after, and this is general, it's a truth, I'm not making a claim, but after a scoop a day of Gadatana, after a couple of months, these parents got their teenagers back. No more cutting, no more aggression, no more anger, no more mood swings, no more goth. Why? Because this is perfect, pure, microscopic nutrition that gets right in the cells. You can hide it in any cold liquid or food. It tastes awful. It's grown in beautiful, pure seawater, so it tastes like seaweed. Nobody likes the taste.
No, but
Put
it doesn't
in-
taste. I'm going to correct you. It doesn't taste awful to me.
Oh, I put it in water, but
I
a lot
put
of
water and
people
drink it. It doesn't taste anything. It really has no taste to me. The first time it did, it tasted
I
a little
agree.
green. It tasted a little green the first time I had it. But after a couple times of having it, it has no taste to me. It's like drinking water.
Right. I agree with you. But a lot of people are like, oh, seaweed. Put it in a couple ounces of cold liquid, nothing carbonated, no dairy, couple ounces of coconut water, couple ounces of citrus juice. My mom puts it in chocolate almond milk. As long as it's cold liquid, that's not dairy, not carbonated, nothing hot, couple ounces, and just shoot it down. But the stories of behavior issues calming with this is really been quite a blessing.
Well, wouldn't you be shocked by that when you realize that moms have started to change the diet of their autistic children, and then within a few weeks, it's like a light has been turned on, and the child is not manifesting the kind of behaviors they were. And unless you really knew the child, you wouldn't think there was anything going on. Whereas before, it was very obvious. So obviously, there's something going on with gut health, immune system at the cellular level, the brain, right? So why would we be shocked that some of these problems that teenagers are manifesting could not also be corrected with nutrition, particularly with all the, vaccines, the COVID, people shedding on them, the garbage in our food, the lunches that they eat at school, the forever microplastics. Why would we not be shocked that there's a way to try to help some of these kids? Not every kid, but certainly some of them could definitely be helped. I mean, when you compare what the moms have done with their autistic kids, that tells me, hey, there is a connection here between some behavior and nutrition.
Absolutely. And the one thing is, and this is just, oh my gosh, you're right. You just get so furious. What I would do out of the gate, I just studied, autism and all of that, studied with an amazing, pediatrician many, many years ago in school. Absolutely. I'd take them off of gluten. I'd just do all gluten-free, gluten-free, dairy-free. You can look up all kind of recipes, moms, and dads. And oh my gosh, I would do a scoop of Gatatana every single day and I say as a mom too, not just as a doctor, if my daughter was a toddler again, or a young child, I would still hide a scoop a day, in a little bit of maybe plant-based pudding or a little bit of, coconut water, something like that. But the other thing that I want to share about mental health and behavior issues in people, children, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about autism or ADD or just behavior issues or depression or anxiety, is these antidepressants. I studied with Dr. Peter Breggin, extraordinary.
Yes.
I think 90 years old, I think almost. He's a Harvard psychiatrist. And he never wrote a new prescription for an antidepressant or antipsychotic, ever. For someone that came into his practice and never was on an antidepressant or antipsychotic, he would never write a new prescription. The only reason he wrote a prescription for them is to help wean new patients that came in on these drugs. These drugs cause anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and depression. It's awful. The antidepressants cause depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. I have friends whose sons have committed suicide. It just happened to be they were all boys, and they were all on antidepressants.
How many?
3. And I just...
3 of their children?
No, 3 different people I know, their sons were on antidepressants
and committed suicide.
And
well, Dr. Breggin has testified in almost all the major school shooting trials, and he says hardly any of these school shooters weren't on some or more than one psychotropic.
Right. Absolutely. Going back to Columbine, there's books about it, and those behavior issues and anxiety and stress and depression, your brain, and my friend runs the American Brain Council. He's an incredible person. He's a director of all education and works with one of the top neurologists in the country. Your brain needs zinc and magnesium, and your brain needs omega-3 fatty acids and B vitamins and iron. What do you think is in Gatatana?
All of that.
all of that. And so you hear everybody saying, oh my gosh. And you and I, we joked a little bit because we're the type A, go, go, go. And we're like, we're calmer.
That's right.
And we don't have any depression issues or.
No, I don't.
Life is hard. It's stressful. College, we went, I have a doctor. Do you know how hard that was and stressful? And I'm sure I had anxiety all through school and the whole time I was pregnant. And now, helping my husband get better. Sure, we all have anxiety, but we don't have to take medication. We've got beautiful things that, just take every day.
Absolutely. And I'll just say this. When you, listening friends, know of someone that is struggling with anxiety, that is struggling with depression, look, I don't give medical advice. Okay? I'm giving my opinion. But when you run into people that are struggling with depression, anxiety, these different things, one of the things I have counseled people that I know have gotten into this spot is, look, here's my opinion. You can either turn to alcohol, and a lot of people do, and you can become an alcoholic. And more than likely, you'll destroy your life and your health, and you'll live a very short life, and you'll have a miserable life. And you'll destroy your life and those around you. So you can turn to alcohol to deal with your problems. You can turn to psychotropics. You can turn to marijuana and other drugs that are now legalized, sadly, in most states. But you can turn to psychotropics. And that psychotropic, having interviewed Dr. Bregan so many times, is going to have, they say, a side effect, but it's really the effect. And then you're going to get on another one to deal with that side effect, and then another one. And pretty soon you're taking a lot of these, and your life is going to spiral. Or you can get to the root of your problem. What is the root of your problem? Is it unresolved bitterness? Is it anger? Is it whatever it is? And of course, as a Christian, are you worrying about things you shouldn't be worrying about? Tomorrow has enough problems of its own. Just deal with today. Trust in the Lord. I mean, now these are not spiritual platitudes I give you just to say, put a Band-Aid on it. No, get to the root of the problem. What is it? Unresolved conflict? Is it feelings of you don't measure up? Well, then maybe that's because, again, you're looking at other people and you're spending too much time focusing on all the fake social media out there, most of it which is not real. It's staged, it's fake, and you're somehow comparing yourself. And at the end of the day, who cares what these people think about you, right? Live your own life and find happiness and joy in your life without looking at what everybody, don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses. That's a miserable way to live. Sail your own boat. But then I say to them, is it that you need exercise? Do you need more sleep? Are you getting enough nutrition? But yes, consult your doctor, but be careful. They're going to rip out a prescription pad. But I've said to several people that have come to me over the years, you're going to either have the option of turning to alcohol, as I said, psychotropic drugs, marijuana, all these things. But you want to be careful. These are all, in my opinion, traps. They're not your solution. And I've had people come back to me and say, because of your advice, I went and saw what was the problem, and I dealt with the problem, and I never did the alcohol, the psychotropics, started smoking pot. And I want to tell you, I'm married, I've got children, life is good. And I'm telling you, there are so many people that don't get this kind of advice. But when you get there, you're at a crossroad, okay? You're going to make one of the most important decisions of your life right now. And which way you go is not only going to impact you, but everyone around you. And for some of you, it will mean a failed marriage, failed relationship with your children, eventually failed or no relationship with your grandchildren. Some of your kids are going to cut you off because they can't stand the drama and the craziness. So when you get to this spot, you're at a crossroad. And the decision you make is going to have possibly serious lifelong consequences. Don't believe someone just because they have a white smock on and a prescription pad. That's my opinion. Doctor, closing comment?
Absolutely right with you. And the reason why I have so much respect for the medical doctors that trained me is they did the right thing for the patient. And they said, just start with, and I won't go on, but I studied cognitive behavior therapy. I'm not a therapist, but it goes back to what you were saying. Just to help you all out, closing comments, your circumstances or anybody's circumstances or just events that happen, whether somebody had a car accident and they broke their wrist, or you have this job or whatever. That's the facts. That's the circumstances. Now, this is so important, and I don't mind diving into this as we go on over the weeks, but this is so important, what you said. Those are facts. Circumstances are facts that you can't change. It's how you think about them that causes a reaction that ends up a good result or a bad result. So your thoughts, you can either be negative, or say, you know what? Oh my gosh, my brother got in a car accident. Thank God he only broke his wrist. He could have been killed. Or some people are like, oh my gosh, my brother got in a car accident, and like their whole day, their life is ruined, their week is ruined. They've ruined everybody else around them because of how they're thinking about a fact, an event. Your thoughts create actions that you're going to take, and your actions will create your results. You're absolutely right. Get to the root of the problem, because it's much easier to do that, Brandon, than to help withdraw from either alcohol or drugs or antidepressants.
Yep.
That is a nightmare to come off of.
And some people have very serious, deep issues. Maybe they were molested as a child, right?
Yes.
But alcohol and drugs or masking it with psychotropics is not going to fix that problem. It's not going to change what happened to you. It's only going to give you a new set of problems, right? So, yes, some of you have really serious things that have occurred in your life, but you've got to get with a good counselor, a good Bible counselor, someone like Dr. Peter Bregan, who just isn't writing a prescription pad, but is saying, well, let's get to the root of this issue and talk it out and get it settled in your mind, right? I know people, okay? I know people that were molested as children. I know a lady that was molested by her own father repeatedly. Okay? This was one of my good friends going through 6th through 12th grade's mother. Okay? And she would publicly tell her testimony and speak of her testimony of what happened to her and her siblings. And her story was broadcast. We've aired it. We've carried it. She has a powerful testimony. And she could have destroyed her life. She didn't. She came to terms with it. She dealt with it. Became a strong Christian. And she went on to influence thousands of people as someone that helped to build what is now very large Christian school, and has impacted thousands of lives. And her story has been aired, and millions of people have heard her story. So I'm not undermining the fact that some people have deep waters they've been through and they're trying to deal with it. But I know people that have gone through the most horrific of things, and they didn't turn to alcohol, they didn't turn to psychotropics, they didn't turn to drugs. And you know what? They have powerful stories that are impacting so many people, and their lives have been so blessed and impacted, and they have a sensitivity for people. This lady was known for having a real heart for people that were down and out, the underdog, people struggling. God was able to take what was horribly evil and use it in her life to give her a very sensitive heart toward people that are struggling. So I can point to several people that could have destroyed their lives, but they chose not to. So I don't want to undermine somebody's real life experience of horrific things like sexual abuse. But I'm not giving professional opinions or professional advice here, my opinion. I just think people need to be very, very careful about how the modern day doctor and psychologists and psychiatrists want to handle this problem, which is why I appreciate our mutual friend, Dr. Peter Bregan, who's written these New York Times bestsellers, trying to help set people free, not give them another monkey on their back, right?
Absolutely. And, he talks about, and it was so many years ago, but bottom line, this is what I would share. And Dr. Bregan says, it comes down to love. People just want love. They want acceptance. And know that when you dive into your Christianity, as most people, watching here do, God made you. So God doesn't make mistakes. You're a miracle. You're a beautiful person, and God made you in love, and God made you all in his, image and perfection. So lean into that too. I always tell people, especially all the terrible things that you mentioned, Brandon, there's nothing wrong with that person. God made them a miracle. And, in love. And that's really what all of us need to feel loved and, kindness. It sounds so elementary, but just be kind. I tell everybody, just be kind to everyone around you, and everything can get worked out. And if you talk it out, but it comes down to love and remembering that God made you a miracle.
And you never know what people are dealing with, right? When we look to react to someone that cuts in front of us at the grocery store, or they thought we cut in front of them and they give you an attitude or mouth off. What I often say is diffuse the situation. Remember, there are cameras running. Everything is on video. Diffuse the situation. It's not worth it. Back up and think, she could have just found out her husband's divorcing her. She could have just found out she's got stage 3 cancer, stage 4 cancer. She could have just lost a parent. I'm not justifying the behavior, but you have no idea what's going on in that person's life. Maybe they're just a jerk, but you have no idea what's going on in someone's life. And I always just try to say, I don't know what's going on in that person's life. Maybe something, and it's not worth the drama, and de-escalate the situation. But there are a lot of people going through a lot of garbage. There are a lot of people. My wife and I are continually hearing from people, because of the scope and size of our radio and TV show, the deep, deep waters that so many people are going through, heartbreaking stories. So I just say amen to what Dr. Lana said, because so many people, they're struggling with things and they don't tell you. And when you realize what they're going through, you're like, well, no wonder they act that way. Just love on them, be kind. Even if it's the stranger, just be nice to them, have a nice word. And you might actually see their attitude change. We've done that, of course. We've run into situations, you turn around, you're nice to them. Oh, I am so sorry. You go in front of me. I am so sorry. Forgive me. And watch their behavior change, right? My wife deals with it in customer support. She'll get some people on the line that are pretty hostile, upset about something. And then as soon as my wife is nice and kind, I'm so sorry, we can work that out. They turn very quickly. They just switch 180 degrees, right? And they just wanted someone to listen and pay attention, understand, right? And they were frustrated. And the Bible says that, right? A soft word turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. But just remember, a lot of people going through a lot of garbage in this world, and some of them are at the end of their rope, And I even prayed today. I said, Lord, there are people we run into in this line of work that we're in. We have contractors in and out of our studio, fixing the AC unit, fixing and adding a new electrical panel because we're pulling so much power. We have people coming in and out of here all the time. And some of them don't know who we are, but they walk through our studios. Boy, they know now. And I think I want to treat these people in a way that where they say, oh, that guy's a Christian? You know what? I could see that because he's a very nice man. He's a gentleman. He's kind. He's patient. He doesn't get upset with us. We come through, we deal with him. He's a nice man. Because at the end of the day, we're going to die. And I want people saying around town, you know what? I dealt personally with Brandon House. He was a first-rate Christian guy. And so your testimony is going before a lot of us, right? And I try to remind myself of that. Closing comment? Absolutely. I said that. Now the second time I said that.
That's okay, and we're here to help everyone. And God put us together, right? You, Melissa, and I will share. And I give credit where credit is due. Besides the amazing medical doctors that trained me, Stephen K. Scott, the founder of NUME, and I talk about what David Hunter to it, the phytoplankton coming. But Stephen Scott said to me, Lana, years and years ago, and he told me his life story and everything. But bottom line, he said, Dr. Gary Smalley, his friend, and his mentor, told him to read Proverbs every day. Every morning, get up, and Proverbs, there's a chapter, 31, chapters. So today is the 31st. So I read Proverbs 31. Tomorrow's the first, I read Proverbs 1. It just takes you a few minutes. And I even go on Amazon. Some of you can spread the love, right? And you can order a book of Proverbs on Amazon. Those of you that can, it's only like $11 or $12. And I'll give those to people, or I'll mail them, or I'll write a nice note in them, friends, family, somebody you just meet, somebody that was nice to you in the doctor's office, whatever, say, I don't know what you believe, but I have given that book out a lot. And Stephen Scott said his life changed when he started to read Proverbs every single morning, one chapter quickly. And he does it every single day. And he's done it for years and years and years. So that
there's obviously, it goes without saying, there's so much wisdom in the Bible. Obviously, it's God's wisdom. But I don't know where it exactly is. But one proverb is that anxiety creates depression. Anxiety creates depression. Maybe I can look that up real quick, but then I gotta go. But anxiety creates depression. What verse is that? Proverbs. What?
Right. What's going to lean into?
Because you think about that. Doesn't that make sense? Proverbs 12, verse 5. Anxiety in the heart of a man causes depression. Proverbs 12, verse 25. And don't we have a lot of people today that are anxious for whatever reason, perceived or reality, and a lot of people that are struggling with depression. So isn't that interesting? Get the anxiety under control before it runs into depression. Wow.
Right.
Dr.
Be grateful,
Lana,
be grateful, be grateful. We'll talk about gratitude sometime too.
That's right.
For the brain.
Yes, that's right. That's a great song out of, is it White Christmas? When I count my blessings. It's I think Bing Crosby singing it. And that there's also, of course, the hymn that we have that we know, that many of us know about blessings. But you're right. And I said, that's my wife and I said that a few weeks ago. We're having, like everybody else, you got issues that you're dealing with this and that and whatever. And I said to my wife, today I stopped to remind myself of all the great things going on in our life right now. I think it was the IRS. It was when we were dealing with the IRS and they're penalizing me $49,000 something because I dared to write our payroll taxes with a check because our system was down instead of online. And I'm thinking, I don't want to give these idiots $49,000. And I could be really angry and bitter about that. And I said to my wife, but you know what I'm doing? I'm listing off all the great things that are going on in our family, all the great things going on in our life, all the great things going on with our broadcast network, all these great things. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to let this. So I say, count your blessings, name them one by one, and see what God has done. That's the hymn. Dr. Lana, Inspired by Wellness, and also get all these great products at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Thank you, Dr. Lana. Praying for your husband.
Thank you. God bless everyone.
All right, guys, before we go tonight, I want to just, again, stress our vault, okay? I cannot tell you how vital this vault is because this is 35 years of radio shows, TV shows, Bible studies, church services that I've taught on Sunday nights, like my Revelation series. This is interviews with leading experts in economics and law and science and history and so many issues. And folks, if you have a question, your kids, your grandkids, your friends, your spouse, someone's got a question, you're likely going to find a good, solid answer when you belong to the vault because you're going to be able to access 35 years of trusted, documented information. You don't need to buy any of the 17 books I've written. And yes, I wrote them. I don't have ghostwriters. You'd be surprised at how many of the big names, those are ghostwriters. I know who some of their ghostwriters are. I don't use ghostwriters because I love writing. I love research. I love it. I love doing it. So yeah, you can get access to my books. That's why I say my books. I don't know how someone says, yeah, get my book. I'm like, you didn't write that book. I know who wrote your books. I have a friend of mine that brags that he makes some of the royalties off your books. And he tells me he wrote every word. Liar, liar, pants on fire. But I say my books, and I can say that honestly because I wrote them. And you can get access to those books. Did you just laugh at that, Logan? I love it when I hear these guys laughing in the control room. Have you never heard that one, Logan? In elementary school. Now they're all really laughing in there. All right. Anywho, have you heard that one about I am rubber, you are glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you? That one you never heard? How about sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? You do know that one. All right. Where were we? You guys distract me with the laughing in there. So when I say my books, I just want to reiterate, I wrote them. That's why I say my books. These other guys shouldn't be saying. They should be saying my ghostwriter's books. But anyway, if you want to get access to the 17 books I actually wrote myself, then you can do that. You don't need to buy them. You don't need to buy them. They're there. They're in the vault. So again, I cannot tell you how many times I myself go to my own vault to get information because I know I interviewed somebody on this topic. I know someone has the information I'm needing from an interview I did years ago, and I find it in my own vault. So I'm telling you now, get the vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. And then finally, worldviewfoundation.com. It's summertime. Giving is down, always is in the summer. That's where I start stressing out a little bit. Because I'm like, where is everybody? Please do not forget about us during the summer months. Go to Worldview. This is why it's so important for you guys to set up automatic contributions, because when you get busy, you then don't forget about us because it's automatic. But please consider setting up an automatic contribution. Worldviewfoundation.com. Otherwise, if you want to do occasional contribution, that's fine too. I'm not going to complain. We just appreciate your supporting us. You can also use our mailing address there if you prefer. Remember, we send out our receipts for your paperwork, for your taxes with our EIN number the first week of February each and every year. Otherwise, if you want to use our phone number there, you can use that. You can leave a voicemail or text Melissa, and she'll get back to you and help you make a contribution over the phone. But this is what keeps our Worldview channel, this 24/7 stream going, our health channel, our Bible channel, our prophecy channel, our new news channel. Folks, we're pushing out a lot of content for free, brought to you in part by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. May God save America. Take care.
Faith, spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
Hey guys, glad you're with us. I want to play something for you real quick before I go to Leo Holman. And the fact that it seems as though Germany and NATO are doing everything they can to provoke a war. I want to get to that here in just a minute. I dealt with this yesterday on Worldview Tube's Washington report, and I'm going to deal with it again tonight on Brannon House Live. I think this is something you all need to sit up and pay attention, okay? We all care about our kids. We all in this audience care and love our grandkids. And we love our nieces and our nephews. And there are some of us that have people that aren't even related to us that are young people. And we really, really love and care about them, right? This is a very, very important message. I would say this is a public service announcement. And it's a serious one. Now, this is something that I found out about a year ago. And I should have talked about it a year ago. But I didn't have really any understanding or stats. I didn't have any authoritative individual that I could lean on and say, listen to what they're saying. But I do now. And I don't agree with everything the Trump administration is doing, right? I don't have to depreciate 90% or more, 95%. I don't know what percentage, it's pretty high that I do agree with. And here's another example. So to anyone who says, oh, he's critical of the Trump administration at times. Yeah, that's right. Because I'm a critical thinker and I'm not always going to agree, right? I don't always agree with myself sometimes. I listen back and say, boy, I wish I hadn't said that or said it that way. So I don't even agree with myself sometimes when I look back. So why can't we disagree with other people in a nice way? We can, of course we can. President Trump's got his own people in his own administration that don't agree with him all the time. He's surrounded by people that don't agree with him. That's part of the problem. I'm not sure. I think we got some people in there who are not part of the America First agenda. But here's a perfect example, is what I'm saying, of where I am so thankful for President Trump's administration. And I'm so thankful for some of the people in his administration. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has just been an absolute surprise, right? I mean, I really liked so much of what he was saying when he was running for president himself, but there are areas I definitely wouldn't agree with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and I've interviewed the man, very nice gentleman, when I interviewed him. There are areas I definitely agree with him, and other areas I don't. But I'll tell you what, he's done a great job in a lot of ways. And here's another example where the Trump administration, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is doing a real service for the American people. Because I found out about this a year ago. And many of you are going to find out about this for the very first time. Last night on Worldview Tube's Washington Report, I shared this. And my co-host, Jim Paff, who's very up on what's going on. This was, you could see, it was like a deer in headlights. He didn't know anything about it. He said, I knew nothing about this. And he had an emotional, a correct, emotional, common sense father reaction. And it was a righteous indignation. And a lot of you are going to have that same reaction right now. When I play this video, and I warn you to warn your children, warn your grandchildren, warn everyone you know. This is a breaking news alert. And when I open the phone lines up, I'd like to hear how many of you are hearing this for the first time, like Jim Paff did yesterday. Listen to what's available, folks, in many of your local gas stations, these vape stores, to your children, grandchildren, and the kids in your life you love. Listen.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS secretary. You know, addiction typically affects about 10% of any population. But it becomes a national crisis when the addictive substance suddenly becomes available. And today we are facing a new addiction crisis because of the availability of synthetic kratom, which is also called gas station heroin.
Our focus is not on kratom or the kratom plant. Our concern is with the synthetic concentrated byproduct. It goes by several names. We call it 7-OH as the collective term. 7-OH is not just like an opioid. It is an opioid, and yet it is sold in vape stores, in smoke shops, in convenience stores, in gas stations.
And they're marketed for children. They're gummy bears. They're bright colors. They're candy flavored.
It's legal, but it's an addiction that's ruining lives. So we are issuing a report from the FDA to educate doctors and parents alike. We want everyone to understand the risks. 7-OH is 13 times more potent than morphine. The FDA is going to be recommending that the DEA consider the synthetic concentrated byproduct of kratom called 7-OH as a Schedule I controlled substance. And so that's part of our efforts here.
Marty, Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for doing this because it also puts Congress on notice too, right? We're not only educating the public, but you're educating Congress about 7-OH. Fortunately, we have a secretary that understands addiction, and you're willing to stand up and actually take this on.
Thank you, Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. This is a product that is today available in gas stations all over America and smoke shops and vape shops. You need to have that conversation with your kids, and you need to have that conversation with your physician. Thank you all very much.
Well, yes. Now, how many of you knew in this audience today that your kids, your grandkids, and the kids in your life that you love, your nieces, your nephews, whoever it might be, can get gas station heroin 13 times stronger than morphine? What is wrong with our society? Do these gas station owners know what they're selling? You might want to ask that if you go in there and find this is available. You might ask the manager nicely, politely, are you aware of what it is you're selling? You might say, and until this is off the shelves, I'm not doing business with you anymore. And if you're not aware of it and you're going to remove it, that'd be great. Thank you so much. We all need to help each other. We don't all know everything. But if you are aware of it and you're aware of it now and you don't remove this, I won't be doing business here. And I'll encourage everybody in town to avoid your gas station until it is gone. What has happened to our country that there are companies that are marketing this as candy to children. Are you guys aware of what these products, these drugs do to any human, much less children? Are you aware of what they would, I mean, like candy? What happens if a 1-year-old gets a hold of this, quote, candy that a teenager has brought around? What if your dog eats some of this? What is it doing to that teenager who's taking this? I can tell you right now, we've done shows on it. There are a lot of teenagers today. They all have the same response. They're struggling with anxiety. We've done full shows on this, on how this is the common phrase coming from young people today. I have so much anxiety. I have so much anxiety. I'm just anxious. This is so common among today's young people. I talk to folks and I ask them, do you hear this as a common phrase among young people? Yes, professionals. Oh yeah, this is a very common slogan today's young people. Well, I've got anxiety. And many of them, of course, are turning to pot, and the morons in our state legislators are legalizing this stuff with the pot stores. I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong to be locking up people over nonviolent crimes. Not for that, but I'm also not for legalizing this stuff, which is way stronger than it was in the 60s and 70s. But when you get a kid addicted to an opioid, something 13 times stronger than morphine, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to manifest itself in fits of rage, anger. Then you're going to see kids having withdrawal. Let me ask you this, grandparent. Are you aware of the signs of withdrawal? If you have a child, a teenager, a college student, if you have a grandchild that is taking this, would you be aware of the signs of withdrawal? Well, you better be. Would you be aware of this mood swings? We have a major crisis in America, just as RFK Jr. stated. And this is available in gas stations marketed to children that looks like candy. I have to tell you, folks, today's young people, we can say a lot of things about them we don't like. But reality is, my generation and the generation before us has helped to create the environment we have today that they're dealing with. Yes, they're responsible for their own actions. There's individual responsibility, but we have allowed people to be elected, or we have not run ourselves, or we have tolerated a rigged election system so the good people don't win. But we have created an environment for this culture of young people that has made it so difficult for them to succeed. They are swimming in alligators from the volume of pornography that is available to them at the earliest of ages, which begins to change their brain, from the availability of pot and other drugs that are on the streets and available anywhere and everywhere, from the availability now of gas station heroin. And now we have morons in our legislators legalizing this stuff and allowing for all these pot shops and normalizing this. And I know the libertarians, they want to have this in free society. But you know what? That's fine to one degree to say that when you're talking about adults, but we're talking about children. The availability of alcohol everywhere you turn. The marketing, alcohol should not be allowed to be advertised on television. Period. End of story. You want to sell your booze? Sell it. But you're not marketing it on television. We don't let them do cigarettes. Why we let them do alcohol? I could go on and on. Then we have teachers. Apparently we hire the most debased, demoralized, ignorant, foolish, dark-hearted fools that we can find, and we make them public school teachers. And I'm sorry if you're a public school teacher and you're offended by that, but I would venture to guess if you're a public school teacher and you're hearing this, you know what I'm talking about, because I know this from public school teachers who are not like that. And they will tell you the people I work with are some of the most debased people. They are biblical fools, vain, useless, futile. We just had a, quote, school teacher of kids murder a mother and father in a park in Arkansas. A school teacher. How many of them are having sex with their students, right? Our kids today are swimming in alligators. I'll close this and go to Leo when we come back. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Hey, come to Collierville, Tennessee, the Mid-South, and join us for our 22nd annual Worldview National Conference. That's right. We've been holding Worldview Weekend since February of '93, but we've been holding an annual conference every year for 22 years. And this year we've moved it to just outside of Memphis, Tennessee, in beautiful Collierville, Tennessee. And the speakers, well, here they are. Gordon Chang, Alex Newman, Sidney Powell, Dr. Lana Hedia, Dr. Andy Woods, Chris Martinson, and Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen. The tickets, we brought the prices way down because we moved it away from a very beautiful resort, but it was expensive. And now moving it to the Mid-South at this beautiful, beautiful theater owned by our town of Collierville, we've been able to move the price down to just $99 a ticket. Now we only have seating for 350 people. All the details and to purchase your ticket, worldviewstore.com. You'll find out the hotels and about our Thursday night optional banquet, worldviewstore.com. All right, welcome back. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. Again, don't forget about our national conference coming up Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th in the Mid-South. Full details at worldviewstore.com. What a lineup we have. And we lowered the price of the tickets from it was like $200, $225, whatever it was, down to $99 by moving it to the Mid-South. We're saving so much, thousands and thousands of dollars. And we're renting our town theater. It's a beautiful theater. And our town rents it out at I had to chuckle when they told me the price because it was so reasonable. And so we're passing that savings on to you, okay? Worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. So before I go to Leo, gas station heroin, 13 times stronger than morphine, available to our kids, our grandkids, our neighbors' children. And as I said, these kids are dealing with an awful lot. I saw another story made from the New York Post about a teacher that was sending self-made pornography that she made to a 16-year-old student. I didn't contend with that. We didn't have phones when I was 16, so there were no cell phones available to us. There were cell phones in the 70s even, right? Even in the late 60s, Motorola, you put them on your floorboard. But we weren't running around with cell phones. Okay, we didn't have this to deal with. We didn't have teachers that were coming on to the students. The married woman, I guess she'd been given 5 years probation. These kids, as I said, everywhere they turn, there are alligators. The predators out there, the drugs, the pornography, the alcohol, everywhere they turn, these young people, the vaccines we've given them, the damage we've done to their ability to think and reason, the cognitive damages we've done to them, and then we fill their heads with all kinds of garbage in these government schools. And so many of these kids, they're anxious. And their anxiety is turned to depression, which is in Proverbs, by the way. An anxious man, that leads to depression. That's in Proverbs. You know, there's a reason a lot of our young people today are anxious. We've told them life has no meaning, no purpose. You're a mistake. You evolved from a monkey. There's no inherent purpose for you to be here. It's just a mistake, a global cosmic mistake. There's no ultimate meaning. There's no ultimate right or wrong. There's no ultimate standard. You know, a lot of young people that struggle with life eventually go into the military, right? And what happens to a lot of them? They flourish. Why? Because they found purpose, they found discipline, and they found standards. Every human being does better when there is purpose and standards to live by, right? What is the purpose we've given kids today? Pleasure, hedonism. Are we shocked that these young people today are all dealing, so many of them, with anxiety? And how many of them have been molested? Can I ask you that? The number of young people that are molested is mind-blowing. A lot of these kids are dealing with things they've yet to even tell someone what happened to them. Some of it is some of these kids have no excuse. They come from good homes, good backgrounds, nothing happened to them. So some of these kids have zero excuse. Others, I'm like, yeah, it's a tough environment for today's young people. I wouldn't want to be a teenager in today's world, would you? The point I'm making is, and then we take all of this that has been piled on this generation, the sins of the father visited on the second and third generation. We pile it onto them, and then we're asking them as 15, 16, 17-year-olds to bear this on their shoulders and be ready emotionally and spiritually and mentally to deal with it. And a lot of them can't. A lot of them don't have hope or purpose. They are floundering emotionally. Many of them, of course, are floundering spiritually. They see a lot of adults consuming the alcohol. They see a lot of the adults smoking pot. They see a lot of their parents taking psychotropics, popping those drugs prescribed by the doctor. You're right? And what do? It isn't interesting. Now you're finding out there's such thing as gas station heroin. 13 times stronger than morphine, marketed like candy. And you wonder why we have kids that are violent, that have mood swings, that have anger issues. And how long before they say, you know what, that's not good enough. I need actual heroin and harder drugs. And now they're what? They're robbing and they're stealing to feed their addiction. And we say, oh, and we want to blame it on the parents. We want to blame it on whatever. And we're thinking, well, maybe we as a society have some responsibility here. After all, somehow we've allowed for gas station heroin to be available to children. And we throw these kids away. We lock them up. Or, by the way, they go there and a lot of those kids end up being sexually assaulted and raped. Now we've really added to their problems. Let me tell you something. We as a society, maybe not you and me, listening friend, but we as a society have so much that we're responsible for that have made the life of these kids so difficult and things that you and I never had to deal with. Now that's living in a sinful, fallen world. But do we really have to make gas station heroin available to them? How did this get on the market? How? Are you telling me that sheriffs and sheriff departments weren't aware of this? And if they were, why were they not putting out press releases and screaming at the top of their lungs, bringing all this to the attention of the American public long time ago? Speak up, sheriffs. You got a bully pulpit. You got a microphone. Speak up. You guys know a lot of what's happening before we do because you're in the streets. And there's a lot of us here, particularly this host, that will take whatever you want to email me, whatever you want to send me, and broadcast it to tell people, Sheriff so-and-so, Deputy so-and-so is telling us this is a trend. We need to crack down on this. Our kids don't need to be dealing with this. Why is there such apathy and passivity today? That this is, well, that's just the way it is. We live in a horrible world. Yeah, we do. But that doesn't mean we can't stop it. We don't have to allow for gas stations to sell gas station heroin. I'm not one wanting legislation every time I turn around. We don't need new legislation. I would think there already ought to be laws on the books against selling drugs. Now these things, of course, can be classified, so it looks like that's going to happen. But how many of you today knew that gas station heroin, 13 times stronger than morphine, was available to your children and grandchildren? And maybe some of you got kids that are on it. Now maybe you understand why they got the mood swings and the anger and the withdrawal. Like you needed one more thing to deal with in your life. And here is society serving it up. Like I close out so many of my shows at night. May God save America. Because we sure need it. Maybe I should say, may God save us from ourselves. Because America seems, you know what, let me tell you, Islamists, Marxists, just sit back. Just sit back. We will destroy our country for you. You don't have to do it. Because apparently that's what we're doing. But God bless RFK Jr. and his team for bringing that to the American people. And I wish I had said something a year ago when I found out about it. But I got a lot going on. I really didn't find the time to research this. I didn't even know what the terminology was for it. As far as this, what is it? What is it? What is the term, guys? What was he calling it? H07? I didn't even know that. So that, I knew about this. What is it called? 70H. So I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known to go search that term. I didn't know that term. So thank you, President Trump, administration, RFK Jr. Joining me now is Leo Holman. Leo, thank you for being with us. Didn't mean to go that long, but this is really, I think, a very, very important and troubling issue. Before we get to your topic, you want to comment on what you've just heard? Or were you aware of this, Leo?
I do want to comment on that, Brandon, and I'm glad you brought it up. I actually have a little experience in this realm.
Really?
And, it goes a long way back, and it involves a lot more products than the one that you're mentioning. My wife and I used to own a weekly newspaper, and part of my job in running that newspaper was to make sure that all of the gas stations and convenience stores were stocked with our weekly newspaper, and that took me to a great number of these establishments on a weekly basis every Tuesday morning. And you'd be surprised what I found there, Brandon, and this goes all the way back to the late 90s and early 2000s. Gas stations are probably one of the most dangerous places anyone, particularly children, can be. They sell all kinds of sketchy products. I remember back in the day, late 90s, early 2000s, there was one particular gas station run by an Asian immigrant family. I won't say from what country, but they were Muslims. And they were within walking distance of the local high school and middle school. And rumors around town was that children could get all sorts of things that they shouldn't be getting there. Some were behind the counter. Some were in broad, right out in the open. Xanax tablets disguised as candy. Single cigarettes that were taken out of the original packaging and placed in a little cup that were packed with perhaps not just tobacco. Finally, and these weren't just rumors because I was able to confirm a lot of it and we reported on some of it. I lost that one customer, obviously. Finally, they were arrested. And guess what, Brandon? They were illegal immigrants, the family that ran this particular gas station. And as I said, a Muslim family. Their children were like some of the star athletes at the local high school football and basketball teams. They had straight A's in school, very smart kids. But the parents ran a very sketchy business out of their gas stations, and they owned more than one. As you can imagine, they start with one in a community typically, and they build it into a chain, buying out the American owners, offering them prices that I imagine are too good to refuse. And so we literally saw over a 10-year period the turnover of gas station ownership in this one county, Brandon, to nearly 100%. When we started, they were all owned by Americans when we started the newspaper in 1997. And by the time, you got to 2004 or 5, they were all owned by Indians and Pakistanis, some of whom are probably legal, many of which were not. And this one particular family ended up being deported. This goes way back, and I'm sure even before the establishment of our newspaper and my experience with it, but they are predatory businesses. They'll do anything. It's not because they necessarily, I don't think.
Hold right there, Leo. I don't want to miss a word. Hold right there. Yeah. Don't go away. And we're getting a response. Listeners, some of you know what we're talking about today.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed. All right. Well, we're getting flooded now. We're getting flooded with people telling us, oh yeah, my relative, my grandchild has gotten on this stuff. I guess there's, like Leo is saying, there's more than just this stuff. I guess there's also a weird drink from gas stations that's reportedly causing terrible addictions. Feel-free, plant-based herbal supplement. All right, we got to get to Germany and all, but go ahead, Leo, please.
Yeah, I mean, just to conclude, Brandon, I don't know and would refrain from accusing people of motives. I don't know if their objective was to poison or dumb down Americans' children as much as it was just to nickel and dime and make as much profit as possible off of these businesses by selling more than just traditional products. If you can sell a single cigarette for $1.50, when at the time an entire pack of cigarettes you could get for $1, that's a huge profit margin. And these immigrants seemed to be after profit motive techniques any way they could implement them. And so, yeah, more than likely that was the motive, but the end result was sickened young people, addicted young people, dumbed down young people, and like Michael Yon always says, the sedation of America. Yep. Between legal and illegal drugs in this country, half of our population is sitting back fat and happy and lazy, not living in reality.
Yep. Well, apparently this feel-free, Logan's researching it because Jill, our editor, sent me something over about it. She saw a video on it. This feel-free plant-based herbal supplement, Logan just researched it. It has that same product in it. What's it called, Logan? Kratom, which contains 7-OH. And there are reports that people are being mugged at gas stations, people trying to steal their wallets, being very aggressive, trying to get money out of adults because they got to get their next kick. They got to get their next craving because they're addicted to this stuff now. And they're basically asking adults for, the money to buy something.
You are spot on, and that opens the conversation to a whole nother reason as to why gas stations are one of the most dangerous places you can go. Google or look up on the internet shootings at gas stations. You will be amazed. It is one of the most likely places to be shot or knifed in America is at a gas station, especially if it's in an urban area. I've actually done articles on this years ago. And it is typically drug related, but you could be an innocent bystander filling up your gas tank and be targeted by one of these addicted people, Brandon.
Well, I don't let my wife gas up at gas stations. I think this audience knows I have said that several times. I deliberately gas up the car for her. I don't want her doing that because I don't want her standing there. I don't want her being a target.
It's a vulnerable place to be. Yeah.
Yeah, for anybody, but no women. Women, you demand your husband fill up your gas tank. Okay, I don't care if he has to go get the car and go do it at night. Is one of his chores, like putting out the garbage. He needs to start filling up your gas tank and bringing your car to you. If my wife goes to a gas station and gets gas and I find out about it, I scold her. I'm like, no, that's my job. I don't want you doing that. And these are perfect examples why. Here's one, a Daily Mail, dated April 7th, 2023. Recovering alcoholic sues wellness drink firm for getting him hooked on 10 of its feel-free kava drinks a day that left him hospitalized because they contain active morphine-like substance, kratom, Kratom, the very stuff that RFK Jr. is talking about. Yeah, we've done a real number on our young people today. And I know it's easy to talk about today's young people, but maybe we should be talking about the society and the adults